Yes, it was. Your microphone's not working. There you go.
I had the worst night's sleep I've had in a very long time last night. I have no idea why. I've been up for over 3 hours.
Bobrowski?
Really? No, man. If I played for the Panthers, I would have slept on the flight home last night. I would have been fine. Well, when they took an early bad penalty and ended up in the back of the net, it's like, okay. All righty then.
They're running around. They're undisciplined again.
It's so funny. They were so disciplined against Carolina. They had Carolina into every time.
Because Carolina's a team full of pussies.
Well, but also just, assignments. I mean, they all. And here, I mean, how many times has Vegas passed it into the slot or high slot and there's nobody there?
Because they're all looking for the hit.
Yeah.
They're running around looking to make big hits, trying to be the tougher team. And they don't,
Which is stupid. Honestly, Vegas is the biggest team in the league. I would not try to out hit Vegas. Just, put a body on them. Not that the 9-day layoff has affected them or anything.
Right.
Good morning, Paul. Baby Jules. RCB. Ouch. Yeah, but the only good thing that happened for the Panthers last night was Kachuk scored. And I agree with Olchek. Hey, Barkov, shoot the puck.
My daughter's a Rays fan, RCB. She likes to watch the Rays with me. It's fantastic.
Wow.
She's got a favorite player.
Who?
Rosarena. Why? She says, who's the one that does this? She says, I like him. I think that's fun.
There you go. Yep.
Sat down, like she was on her tablet all day. It's a half day of school. I finally bring her down. The game's on. Oh, she goes, the Rays are winning. All right. You're sitting down on the couch watching baseball. I'm pretty happy.
15 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this D-Day. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. Hope your week got off to a good start. Certainly better than the Florida Panthers week has gotten off to. Woo-hoo. Morning, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing well, and you are right. It has been a rough start for the Florida Panthers. They were shellacked last night. They were out-efforted. They were undisciplined again. And and by the way, their goaltender played like crap. Other than that, it was a wonderful game for them.
I don't think this 9-day layoff has impacted them at all.
Not one bit. Bobrovsky looks human again.
Right.
They're taking dumb penalties, and they're getting beat to seemingly every loose puck.
Right. And seemingly, by the way, if the pass goes into the slot or the high slot for Vegas, there's a teammate there who's not checked, and he's got a point-blank opportunity. 5-2 was followed up by 7-2. Ouch. All right. In football, there's the Super Bowl era. In baseball, it really begins in 1969. That's when they went to 2 divisions in each league. It wasn't just the NL champion and the AL champion went straight to the World Series. Beginning in 1969, you had to win your division. You had to win a 5-game LCS. So, Super Bowl era began, what was it, the 66 season? Baseball, the 69 season. Hockey is 67. The NBA is the merger in the mid-70s, NBA, ABA. In hockey, they talk about in the expansion era. And I believe, was it fall of 67? It was 67, 68, the first expansion year. It was either 67 or 68. But that's, since then, 34 teams, Mark, have trailed 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Finals. How many of the 34 have come back to win Lord Stanley's Cup?
8.
Lower.
4.
Much. Even lower. Only 3 of the 34 have come back in the expansion era, have come back to win the Stanley Cup when down 2-0. And one of them was very early in the expansion era. Rookie Ken Dryden backstopped Montreal to a 7-game series win over, I believe, Chicago in 71. But then, Mark, it's happened twice this century. 09 Penguins, painful for you. They did it to your Wings. And the 2011 Bruins. The difference, Mark, is the Penguins lost the first 2 games in Detroit 3-1 and 3-1. Boston lost the first 2 games in Vancouver 1-0 and 3-2 in overtime. Panthers have been beaten 12-4.
And the score is indicative of how the play has been. I mean, that's sometimes blowouts happen. Sometimes there's just an off night and you get beat. But these scores are pretty indicative of how the game is going. There's not one area that you can look at the Florida Panthers and say they have been better than Vegas in this series. Not one.
What are you trying to get at, Mark?
If they somehow miraculously can find themselves with a couple of days off here before game 3.
Right.
And make this a series, then Paul Maurice is pulling the rabbit out of the hat the way the first 2 games have gone. Because literally, you've said before the show, we talked briefly, okay, there's one positive. Tkachuk scored. Okay.
Right.
I mean, that's it.
Only because he was held off the score sheet in game 1. And the thought is, Bob and Tkachuk have been the 2 best players in the playoffs. Bob obviously has not brought his A game. In fact, he's not even brought his B game. And Tkachuk scored in the 3rd period. Okay. That's kind of like, you're going out, you're shooting 94, but you happen to birdie 16 on the way in. You're sitting there having that tuna fish sandwich and a beer, and it's not tasting or going down that good, but you're looking at the scorecard going, it was a nice 5-iron and a 16. I got to give myself that. I suck, but that was a nice 5-iron.
The problem is after that birdie on 16, they've kind of gone double-double to finish it out. If you know what I mean? It's not birdie. It's not like they won a 3rd period and you can point to the 3rd period last night and say,
right.
Ooh, there's the formula.
Right.
Because seemingly every time they scored a goal, they gave one up just as quickly last night in the 3rd period.
So the Panthers unable to do what the Heat were able to do. And so we've got ourselves an NBA Finals, and right now we're wondering whether or not the series will even get back to Vegas. Panthers got swept the first time they were in the finals. Come on, boys, win a game. I mean, Brooks Koepka needs a reason to put on the jersey. Come on now. But Miller and Moulton. Yesterday, one of my favorite days of the year. For me and about two other people, and I don't know who the two other people are. But the list for the College Football Hall of Fame came out yesterday.
Well, you know what, David? At least you got to what the reason was yesterday was a good day, because I was afraid it was either French Open quarters, Monday of the college baseball regionals. I really didn't know where you were going, or the semifinals of the College World Series in softball. I didn't know which of those three you were going to pick, and you pulled the College Hall of Fame out, so at least I know where you're going. Usually this gets you upset because there's a name on the list that you have no idea why it's there or why they haven't been inducted already.
Well, you know how we talk about the Pro Football Hall of Fame and we go, you try to narrow these 25 down to 15, never mind the 15 down to 6. Good luck. Mark, there are 78 players and 9 coaches that are nominated. 78 players and 9 coaches. And I got to be honest, if I rattled off the names, 50 plus of them, you'd go, oh, wow. And obviously, I mean, they don't put in 30. I mean, they put in like 12. But the whole who can be nominated as a coach, I mean, there's criteria it's controversial. First off, you have to be a first-team All-American. If you were never a first-team All-American in college football, then you are never to be nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. And you would be surprised the players who were never first-team All-American, who for whatever reason were only second-team All-American. Therefore, they never get nominated. But also there's a winning percentage minimum for coaches. And I believe it's 600.
Mike Leach did not meet that threshold.
By like one game, I think. Also, Howard Schnellenberger, barely over 500. And the College Football Hall of Fame will not take up his candidacy. And meanwhile, who's he was an A&M coach in the 90s and early 2000s, nice guy, went 9-3 every year, but I mean, no one ever thought he was a Hall of Fame coach in the Hall of Fame. Like, let me ask you this, is Mark Richt a Hall of Fame coach? Because by winning, I mean, Mark Richt's going to get in the Hall of Fame. I mean, when you look at...
No, I know, and I think I think there's a strong case for Mark Richt to get in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Percentage-wise, it's a dunk.
Percentage-wise, it's definitely a dunk. Right. Mm-hmm. But like, there's just a lot of... Also, Mike Vick nominated.
He's a College Football Hall of Famer.
Well, I think so. He's the most dynamic college football player I've ever seen in person. I mean, I'm not saying he was better than Herschel or Bo, but in person, I've never seen anybody better. I mean, he was on the same field with Peter Warwick, and he was the best player on the field. But he only played 2 years, and let's face it, what you do after college, Mark, it's not supposed to matter. Come on. It matters. Most of the time, it matters in a good way for these guys. A lot of them were even better in the pros than they were in college. And you're like, oh, hell, we got to put them in the Hall of Fame. But in Vic's case, obviously, there is that the whole dog thing and going to prison thing. And so if you're the College Football Hall of Fame, you want Mike Vick in your Hall of Fame? I mean, that's one of those in which it's either a slam dunk or slam the door, right?
And it's a slam dunk to me. If you want your Hall of Fame to be relevant, unless there's a criteria that if things that you did post-college make you a bad person, you are no longer eligible for our hall, which I don't remember seeing. big thing is being on an All-American team. How would you not include him? And I'm not getting into what the dog fighting. He wasn't a good person.
Right.
Don't know if he really rehabilitated or not. I don't care. You're asking me a question of does he deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame? To me, it's a slam dunk yes.
Like Cam Newton, I don't believe has yet to be nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame. You going to put him in? Now, he was in college more than 1 year, but not much. But can you have a College Football Hall of Fame and not? I mean, can you name 5 guys who had a better season than Cam Newton had in 2010? In the history of the sport, can you name 5 guys who had a better year? And is that enough? Is 1 year enough? I mean, let's face it.
College Football Hall of Fame. Didn't he win the JUCO title too? That's college.
That's true.
I mean, he's got 2 titles.
It is true. He went back to back. He did. And Gator fans still, hate him. They mention the stolen every time they can. They hate Urban and they hate Cam. But so anyway, I was just because they teased me, Mark. On Friday, they sent out the email that said, "Hey, on Monday we're going to have the list." I'm like, oh, okay.
Now, wonder you didn't get a good night's sleep last night. You were up all night going over the Hall of Fame list.
I was debating Brad Culpepper's candidacy. Couldn't get it out of my head. I mean, I know he's a first-team All-American lawyer in Tampa, but, and I know he was a 2-time first-team All-American with the Gators, but is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know. Miller and Moulton, starting 5 in 25 minutes here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Cam Newton's a no-doubter, by the way.
I have to admit, Johnny Mac, it shocked me when I found out that Lucas Glover won the U.S. Open and is not qualified for the U.S. Open. And it's not like he's 53. He's 43. I mean, that surprised me.
What's that?
That Lucas Glover, I guess you only get in the U.S. Open, is it 10 years, I guess, after you win it?
Yeah.
Well, that's surprising to me. I mean, most Masters, you win the Masters, you can play it till you're in your 60s. You win the British Open, you can play it to 65. You win the PGA, I think you're in the PGA for life. And Lucas Glover's 43 and had to qualify for the U.S. Open. He won the tournament.
And he shot 63 in his first 18 and then chased it with like a 73.
And then missed a 2-footer in a playoff to be eliminated.
It was for the after. There was nothing. It was a clean hit. It's because all the stuff that happened after. And I thought it was bogus that Tkachuk got a 10 there. Bogus.
Yeah, that's a reputation.
The fact that they came out of that even was a joke. Clean hit. Guys go after him. It should have been a 2 the other way. Flat out. He carries on and carries over, Paul. He is an instigator, and if they'd have just given him a 10, I'd have been fine with it.
I thought the refs had an interesting night. Remember early second? No, we're still mid-first. Florida has the power play. Down 1-0.
There's a cross-check in front of the net that they don't call.
Oh my God, that put him in the net.
Yeah.
I mean, he's staring right at it.
Eve was still up. I'm like, that's a penalty right there. I just said it very matter-of-factly, and
that's unbelievable they let that go. Yes, Ambien. Of course, it would be nice if the sport gave us something to be interested in these days. But yes. Yeah, saw it. It's an automatic disqualification. To me, Brian, the interesting thing about it was they were not going to disqualify them, but their opponents complained and went to the referee and said, you got to disqualify him. And they looked up the rule, and technically they had to disqualify them. Especially since it was unintentional. I mean, it's...
So wait a minute, they got disqualified from the match?
Yeah. Point was over, and they hit a ball in frustration, and a ball girl who was in the corner was running out and got hit while running.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Starting 5 in a little more than 15 minutes. David Samson, 40 minutes from now. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hey, don't look now. But you know those few shekels that we told everybody to put on the Marlins? You know, with everything that's going on? FAU, the Canes basketball, Panthers, Heat. And we said, well, hell, don't you have to put money on the Marlins? And for that matter, start placing your bets on the Dolphins right now. Playoffs? Hell, that's done. If you're playing sports in South Florida, it's just a matter of how far are you going. Well, Mark, I don't know what to tell you. The Marlins are 4 games above 500. They're like the 5 seed right now in the National League playoffs.
And spotted the Royals a 4-0 lead yesterday, come back and win 9-6. Arise with 17 hits yesterday. He's batting .399 now.
Oh my gosh.
3 for 4, drove in 2, scored 2. Yeah, .399 he's hitting. By the way, they got him batting leadoff. Hey, it's working. It's working. I mean, I will say, not necessarily the guys behind him are getting the job done. He's barely scored as many runs as Kyle Schwarber, who's hitting $171. But $399. Man. Makes last year with the Twins when he won the batting title hitting like .318. Makes it look like, that was a junior varsity. But I don't know. We've been talking about the Rays since day one. We were live opening day outside the Trop. We've been on the Rays wagon before they threw their first pitch. I think Mark has them going. What, did you go World Series or LCS?
World Series.
And I got them losing to the Braves in the World Series. I mean, we are both all in on the Rays. But we mocked Felipe. Mocked when he said, I think the Marlins are going to be right around 500. What do you know? You homer. Just press the buttons. Get us on the air, will you? Go get a coffee. What do you know?
Still a lot of ball left.
There is. They're taking advantage of the soft spots in their schedule.
Yes.
They're doing the same thing that the Rays have done. Now, the Rays obviously have done it much better, but you've got to beat the teams that you're better than. They swept the A's. They beat the Royals in the first game of this series. That's how there aren't that many good teams in baseball. There really are not. And at the end of the day, if you can just beat the teams, win the series against the bad teams, hold your own against everybody else, then Felipe, you may be right that maybe they are a 500 team. We knew they had the pitching. Could they hit the ball?
It's just like in the NFL. Win bad games and you'll make the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, in baseball, Mark, one of the hockey coaches that you were around early in your broadcast career, what was it? His slogan?
Just beat the teams that are underneath you in the standings. If you keep beating the teams that are underneath you in the standings, pretty soon there won't be anybody underneath you in the standings, or anybody above you in the standings, rather. A lot to that.
Yeah. And the Marlins, having one of those homestands right now, 5-2 on the homestand. Good for them. 4 games above 500. Got a bunch of, Mets, Phillies, Padres, all struggling. Hey, maybe it's one of those years. 3 teams combined spending about $800 million on their payroll. Marlins spending about 90. Okay. And the funny thing is, their Cy Young pitcher, is not pitching well.
And you're being kind.
Right. I think his ERA is around 5. What's he, like 2-5 or something like that on the year? Unbelievable. So just felt the need to point that out.
That is the one part of this, David. If you would have said that Alcantara was pitching as poorly as he is and they would still be above 500, then, I don't even think Philly would have been making the prediction for the Marlins to be where they are without their star pitching being a star. And he's not been.
Nope. But all the guys that they brought in last year, they brought in like 3 bats last year, and they all stunk. They all either got hurt or stunk or both. And basically, Kim Ang has only got so much money to work with. So she went out and she got like 1 more bat, and basically said to the 3 guys she brought in last year, I really need you to come through this year. Jorge Soler, I'm looking at you. Okay. You guys need to come through this year, okay? Or we're all going to be out of jobs. Your contracts are up and my contract's up. I'm just saying. And they went, well, okay. Contract year, let's go. So far, it's working. They're responding, Mark. I mean, they responded, 72-32 last night in South Florida. They're responding.
And trust me, because that game started early, I caught a few innings of it. The atmosphere is so bad when you're watching the game on TV.
Yeah.
You can hear conversations in the crowd. I switched to go to college baseball from the Marlins game because it just was, they were down 4-0. The atmosphere was just pathetic. I'm like, I'll watch a little college baseball. Where's Duke and Coastal Carolina at?
But again, to do the Marlins dirty like that, nationally televising a game against the Royals, and I know this doesn't have too much effect to it, but the same night as the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, first off, they picked that, weeks ago, if not before the season started. But what do you mean do the Marlins dirty? Felipe, the fact they televised the Marlins-Royals game, that's not doing them dirty. That's like, wow.
It's a PSA.
Well, no, it's
that they actually have a baseball team because most people weren't aware. And I'm talking about South Florida.
I'm hyped that they were nationally televised, but like, give me the Phillies or the Dodgers or something.
Well, unfortunately, apparently Monday night's their baseball thing. Like Tuesday is TBS's baseball thing. And so some of the games TBS has given us, it's like, what are you guys contractually obligated to put all 30 teams on? I mean, Monday and Tuesday night baseball on FS1 and TBS is kind of like, old Thursday night football on NFL Network. It's like, well, we're obligated to give you the 2-14 Cardinals. Here they are.
But we'll see if there's an uptick of attendance, if they can continue to play good baseball. Right now, it doesn't look like it. Their attendance is driven by their opposition, not by the Miami Marlins.
Right. They did 31,500 for the 3-game series against Oakland. So they drew basically 10-5 for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. And now they just drew 72-32. But they won all 4 games. You're 4-0 in front of 39,000 total.
Oh, wait, Jazz Chisholm hasn't played since May 13th.
You mean the guy who was on the cover of
of MLB The Show?
Right. So let's see. The guy on the cover of MLB The Show, all right?
Can't stay healthy.
And the best pitcher in baseball last year has been their second worst starter.
Right.
And they're in the playoffs.
And will anybody notice?
Right. And does anybody care? They're 3 out. They're 3 out. They're closer to the Braves than the Orioles are to the Rays. They're as close to the Braves as I think the Astros are to the Texas Rangers.
I like it when you put it like that.
Son, now see, that's doing them dirty right there. Not televising them on FS1. That's not doing them dirty.
Look at you selling the Marlins.
Yeah.
It's a hard sell.
This will probably age really poorly, but
Are you saying this is not going to be a best of segment? Is that what you're saying?
Not a chance. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 comes up next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
What do you mean, DC? Would they have? They did, didn't they? Well, maybe they're third best, but Felipe, how much Marlin stuff you got?
Oh, a pretty good amount. More at home for sure, but yeah, I have 3 jerseys. One generic current white one with no name on the back. Another one, the throwback Andre Dawson field jersey. And then another one, a black spring training Florida Marlins jersey. And then I got some hats. One from each era, really. I mean, I grew up going to a lot of Marlins games.
You didn't realize this was going to basically be the whole break. You're asking about merchandise. He'll talk for 45 minutes.
I understand, but I was intrigued by one thing he said, in which he said, I've got a hat, one for every era. And it lead me to kind of go through my head here and go, the Marlins had eras?
Well, the Florida Marlins.
Well, right, and the teal.
David Samson's Miami Marlins, and now the Miami Marlins.
Chelios getting dumped by ESPN, huh?
Oh, is he?
Yeah, that's what they're reporting. Not coming back next year. He was terrible, so.
No, I remember the Teal Monster in left field. At Joe Robbie Pro Player, Sun Life, Land Shark, Dolphin Stadium.
So if you're Turner, do you have the guts to get rid of Gretzky?
No.
$30 seconds.
If you're ESPN, you have the guts to bring Brett Hull back or Jeremy Roenick.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, David Samson will join us right after the top of the hour for his weekly appearance on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. A lot more went on in sports yesterday than I think most of you realized or were even aware of. So it's our job to bring it to you with
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
NHL. Panthers got whooped. And game 1 at least was tied at 2 mid-third. This one, they got shellacked. 7-2 Vegas. They led 2-0 after 1, 4-0 after 2. Jonathan Marchessault, 2 goals and an assist. Brett Howden, 2 goals. Kachuk did score in the third for the Panthers. Bob got pulled 7 minutes into the second period after having given up the first 4 goals. Panthers trying to channel the 42 Leafs, the 66 and 71 Canadians, the 09 Penguins, and the 2011 Bruins. The only 5 teams in the history of the Stanley Cup to lose the first 2 games and come back and win the series. Game 3 Thursday in Fort Lauderdale. Game 3 NBA Finals tomorrow night in Miami. Series tied at 1. Heat and Nuggets. What are the Nuggets? Like 3-point favorites? Something like that?
2.
Okay. Baseball. Rays took 3 of 4 from the Red Sox. They beat Boston 4-1. Shane McClanahan, 6 innings, gave up the 1 run. His 9th win of the season. He's the starter in the All-Star game, right? Is there any
I'm just going to be curious how many Rays are going to be on that All-Star team.
Would like to think it'd be at least 4. Rays with 3 in the 5th to win it. Meanwhile, the Marlins down 4-0 early to the Royals. Come back, beat KC 9-6. That's their 4th win in a row. They're 5 games above 500. They're 3 back in the East. They're the 5 seed in the National League playoffs right now. Huh? First round series with the Dodgers. Comparable payrolls there. Luis Arise, 3 more hits, 2 more RBIs. He's hitting .399. Can you start marketing him? You know, come to see him. I mean, I don't know, if you're hitting 400 in June, might be worth the price of admission, right? Houston 6 in the first, beat Toronto 11-4. With the Reds beating the Brewers 2-0 and Pittsburgh rallying to beat Oakland 5-4, the Pittsburgh Pirates, ladies and gentlemen, are in first place on D-Day. That's right. The Pirates are in first. The Marlins are a wild card team, and the Pirates are in first. A couple of notes in those games. Andrew Abbott made his major league debut for the Reds. He threw 6 one-hit innings. How about that for a debut? And the A's, Mark, have now lost 15 straight on the road. 15 in a row. That's 5 series. That's 2 full weeks.
David, they're 12-50.
Staggering.
12-50 in baseball.
That's less than 200. They're losing more than 8 out of every 10 games.
Their run differential through 62 games is minus 213.
60 runs worse than the best run differential in baseball, which is Texas. Texas is plus 153. They got a run in the ninth to beat the Cardinals yesterday, 4-3. Marcus Simeon's hit streak is 24. Just think, if he can get it all the way to the weekend, he'll be halfway to DiMaggio. Aaron Nola took a no-no into the seventh. Phillies beat the Tigers 8-3. And Gary Sanchez got picked up on waivers a week ago. He's homered 3 times for the Padres since they picked him up. San Diego beat Chicago 5-0. The Cubs, that is. All right, college baseball. This was win and you're in the Super Regionals, lose and you go home. The Gators played their way into the Super Regional for the first time in 5 years. They shut out Texas Tech 6-0. They'll take on South Carolina next. Meanwhile, LSU beat Oregon State. Kentucky beat Indiana. LSU and Kentucky will meet in a Super Regional. Super Regionals are best of 3. They're either Friday through Sunday or Saturday through Monday, depending on your schedule. Southern Miss beat Penn. They'll face Tennessee next. Duke beat Coastal Carolina 12-3. Duke will play Virginia. TCU caught a huge break. First off, they earned it. In fact, that they beat Arkansas twice, including 12-4 yesterday to win the regional. But Indiana State, Mark, was supposed to host the Super Regional. Their Indiana State there, Terre Haute, they're hosting the Special Olympics this weekend. They don't have enough hotel rooms. They don't have enough people. So TCU gets to host Indiana State in the Super Regional. That's nice. Stanford beat A&M, so it'll be Stanford against Texas. The interesting thing about that, Mark, is that apparently those are the top 2 schools for that season-long Learfield Cup. And they think the winner of the Super Regional, Stanford or Texas, is going to determine who wins the Learfield Cup as best athletic department in the country. So Wake's going to play Alabama. Oregon's also going to play Oral Roberts. Those are going to be your 8 Super Regionals. 6 SEC teams, 3 ACC remain out of the 16. College softball, Oklahoma swept Stanford, took extra innings, 4-2 in 9. They've won 51 straight, and now Florida State will take their shot. The third-ranked team in the country, they beat Tennessee again, 5-1 the final, hitting 3 homers. So beginning tomorrow, a best of 3, Florida State and Oklahoma for the College Softball World Series title, best 2 of 3. Oklahoma looking for a three-peat. They're 59-1. They've won 51 in a row.
Do the Noles get a game?
Yes. I've watched them. They're good.
Yeah, I know.
And Oklahoma's needed extra innings to win 2 games in this College World Series. I think Florida State will get 1. I do. All the pressure on Oklahoma, but then again, it's in Oklahoma City. A little bit of a home field advantage here. NFL news. After Ed Oliver was signed to an extension, the Bills signed Leonard Floyd to a 1-year deal yesterday. 31-year-olds had 9 or more sacks in 3 straight seasons. Cowboys released former Gator wide receiver Antonio Callaway following a traffic stop a couple of weeks ago in Miami. He was driving on a suspended license. See, if you're a starter or even a key reserve, you can get away with that. When you're trying to make the team, they're like, yeah, we're done with you. Bills also broke ground, Mark, on their new stadium yesterday. They're trying to move into it in 3 years. And they say it's going to be close. I mean, they need fall of 26 is $1.5 billion stadium. No roof, by the way. $1.5 billion does not get you a roof in upstate New York. And finally, Colts cornerback Isaiah Rodgers is being investigated for, gambling, including on Colts games last year. He came out overnight and said, I had a lapse in judgment. So I guess he's admitting to it.
Which means you've had a lapse in your career because it's over.
Well, for at least a year. But, we'll see. He was a starter, by the way. He was going to be one of their 2 starting corners final year of his rookie deal. French Open, there's 1 American left. It's 6th seed on the women's side, Coco Gauff. She's through to the quarters, where tomorrow she'll face the top seed, Swiatek. Today, Alcaraz and Djokovic are playing their quarterfinal matches. I don't think they're scheduled to meet till the final, Mark. I think Joker avoids the top seed until the final. Of course, why Joker is not the top seed, that's a good question. College Football Hall of Fame nominees came out yesterday. 78 players and 9 coaches. Here are the Florida players and coaches. You all decide yourselves. Is this a College Football Hall of Famer, yay or nay? Jerome Brown, Brad Culpepper, Ken Dorsey, Warwick Dunn, Darren Smith, a Canes linebacker on the 89 and 91 championship teams, Peter Warwick, and Larry Coker, nominated as one of the 9 coaches. Others, and listen, there are 50 players and coaches that if I named them, you'd go, oh yeah, I know, I remember him. But Larry Fitzgerald and Michael Vick, both nominated for the first time. Why it took them this long to nominate Fitzgerald in particular? You have to be 10 years removed from college. Yeah, he's 20. And Frank Solich, Tommy Tuberville, Mark D'Antonio join Larry Coker on the list of Division 1A coaches nominated for the College Football Hall of Fame.
Interesting. I think Coach D will get in for Michigan State.
I do too.
What he did there, that run that he made, they'll never do that again.
Right. At Michigan State, that's a Hall of Fame run right there.
You're damn right it is.
I mean, you think there were 5 other guys in the business at that time that would have done that? I mean, listen, Nick couldn't wait to leave for LSU. Okay. That's not an easy job. It's like, get me out of here. And when asked why, he said, they're not the most popular school in their state. Meanwhile, I'm going to that we own our state. We're more popular than the NFL team. So, Tuberville's resume is interesting. He's an interesting dude.
Yes, he is. And I think his ability to be so interesting will either keep him out or they'll ignore it altogether.
I think it will hurt him. I think his political career will hurt him when it comes to the College Football Hall of Fame. I actually think he would have had a better chance of getting in if he wasn't the sitting senator from Alabama. Frank Solich, by the way, forget just what he did at Nebraska, replacing Tom Osborne. But Frank Solich, the all-time winningest coach in MAC football history. I mean, coached like 15 plus years there at Ohio. Won a bunch of games. Just throwing that out. One other note, Jim Hines, he was the very first male to break 10 seconds in the 100 meters. He won the gold medal in the Mexico City Games of 68 at 9:95. That record was not broken till 1984. Usain Bolt's at like 9:58 right now. So you think about it. They've clipped a third of a second off what Jim Hines did in 68. Gold medalist in the 100 meters, also led us to a 4x100 meter relay gold. And then followed Bob Hayes to the NFL, had a cup of coffee with both the Dolphins and the Chiefs. Jim Hines died yesterday at the age of 76. And at 9 minutes before the hour, gentlemen, that was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Later on in the show, we will do a full segment on the longest day in golf. Didn't have time to get into it right now because you can't just scratch the surface about everything that happened and tried to happen in U.S. Open qualifying yesterday at like 13 locations all over the country. Because it was fascinating. And it really is. You could not be into golf And the storylines yesterday from U.S. Open qualifying are awesome.
It's taken over. You and I used to love Q School.
Yes.
And getting to 125 and keeping your card is still a big deal. But Golf's Longest Day does deliver. And I will say the Golf Channel does a hell of a job. They stick around all day. They've got people at every location. They try to give you highlights. They do a really good job of covering it.
Good.
Hey, there's a lot that they don't do right. They do that right.
I'm with you. Well said. All right. One note, Michael Block missed qualifying by 2 shots, but he played really well. He finished 6th in his qualifier, but they only took top 3. He was 2 shots out of the playoff. Played 36 holes, 5 under.
Yeah, I think he was 1 under on his first 9. He was struggled to 2 or 3 over on his first 9 and then played really well for 27 holes. His son, however, not the same luck.
No.
Did have a rough day trying to qualify in LA as he was 5 over early and had a rough go of it. But pretty cool that a father and son both trying to qualify for the U.S. Open in 2 different spots on the same day.
And there was a golfer who had a decision to make yesterday. Play in the U.S. Open or turn pro. A little bit later on in the show, we'll tell you what he decided and ask you what decision you would have made. David Samson, next on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Morning.
Good morning.
My favorite sport jacket. You look like you're ready for a night at the night out in Palm Beach.
I wish it were so. It just happens to be the day for this one.
Is that the trusted, hey, this steak place requires a jacket?
No, it's just it's a blazer I got, and I have it in my rotation. And today it must have fallen on a Tuesday before, though. The odds would not be good that it would fall on a Tuesday more than once a month. But
it's been a while since I've seen that one. That's
because it's a pretty.
That is a nice piece right there.
You look fly as hell, David.
I appreciate you guys. Not my target demographic, but I do appreciate the kind words.
Now, we'll really put them on the spot here. So the two hosts are in their 50s, okay? The guy who said you look fly is 22. Which group here are you trying to appeal to more?
E. None of the above.
Here we go, guys.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And since it is the top of the 7 o'clock hour on a Tuesday, we are joined by David Samson. He of the daily Nothing Personal with David Samson podcast. Weekdays, he records it live at 8 a.m. You can follow him on Twitter at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. David, good morning. Hope you had a good weekend.
I had a great weekend. Good morning to you guys.
Well, I knew you would have a bounce in your step, so to speak, because it looks like the A's aren't going to Vegas. And somebody said a few weeks ago, guys, this is not happening.
I've actually been saying it for years. That said, I have wait to sees from 2 years back. And my producer, Matthew Coca, started to put together a video that is a victory lap video. And I said, hold on. It's not quite time for that. But there is a big update today. The money did not come from the state. The session ended. There's possibly a special session where it could come up, but it was announced a few minutes ago that the agenda of the special session will not include this stadium financing bill. And I must tell you, I'm having PTSD because I went through this in Tallahassee. The reason I can talk about this issue is I've done this, and it's happening exactly as it always happens. But for whatever reason, people in the media and fans, they get this view that, no, this time it's different. But it's not.
Why do we always miss this then?
Because you're a good person, right? Because you're not willing to think the way I'm willing to think. You've been lucky enough to not be sitting on Capitol Hill of your state and waiting to know whether your bill is going to get out of committee and waiting to see whether it'll be waved to the floor, whether you can get a final vote right before the gavel, and then praying to God that if not, there'll be a special session where they have real things to address, but you want them to address your bit of state money. And it just doesn't happen. And when it does, it's mostly NFL. And when it does, it happens in a way more organized way than what's going on in Vegas. And it takes way more time. The Vegas thing has been an absolute disaster in my mind from the beginning. It's as though they had no one in charge who knew what they were doing.
Well, clearly, I believe, they thought they had the votes. They wouldn't have gone through with this. And I will say, David, this is fascinating. It seems as if everyone with a title had said, yep, we're going to vote on this. We're going to put it through. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to get you the votes. 60-40, 55-45, 52-48, whatever. We're going to get you the votes. And it doesn't even come up for a vote?
Yeah, so the reason it doesn't come up for a vote is when they know it's going to get voted down. You'd rather have it be a no vote. You'd rather have it be a no vote as in don't vote than actually have it be a no vote where it comes up and then fails. So right now, you don't have to say to Major League Baseball, hey, we're Las Vegas and we have no public financing plan, so you can't consider us for expansion or relocation. What you get to say, if you are the governor or the mayor, you get to say to Rob Manfred, hey, it's just hasn't happened yet, but this is the process it takes. We are ready for a baseball team, be it expansion or relocation. If a no vote had come, then baseball says, well, wait a minute, you had a chance and you declined. Now baseball can say they've never actually declined the public financing.
Now what from the A's standpoint, though, David? Because obviously you kind of explained what's going on in Vegas, explained it from a Major League Baseball and Vegas standpoint. But if you were running the Oakland Athletics right now, what would you be trying to accomplish?
So I would have known this was happening, and I would have made sure that I had statements ready. So I have not seen, and I'm leading off nothing personal in 55 minutes with this story, but I have not seen yet a statement from the A's after the legislative session ended last night, and then the special session was announced about an hour ago without this bill on the agenda. I need a statement ready saying, you know, the old story from the movies, every time something happens. Remember A Few Good Men when Demi Moore would say, I strenuously object, and she went crazy? You're never supposed to do that. You're supposed to act like whatever's happening is supposed to be happening. So my statement would be, this was expected. We understood this is a complicated bill. We understand that it's going to take time to make sure that all the stakeholders have all the information before they make their decision. So we're totally fine with the fact that there was no vote. In the meantime, we expect to re-engage with Oakland, where we'd like to see if a deal can be put together, because the important thing is securing the home of the Oakland A's somewhere before the end of this year. That would be my statement.
And the reason we have paid such close attention to this is once they get this resolved, one way or the other, the Rays are on the clock, and then expansion looms. So Major League Baseball did not have a good last 12 hours in Las Vegas. Want to switch gears and talk Jokic. You drafted a bunch of players over many years. The 41st pick of the NBA draft is a throwaway pick. I mean, if you make the league and have a career, that's amazing. Never mind become an all-time great. Is this like Mike Piazza, Albert Pujols-esque here? No, I'm seriously, like, was there a guy that became legendary that you passed on like 15 times and you're like, oh, are you serious? This guy's really good?
So it's interesting you're saying that. Baseball has something that basketball has only with its foreign players. In baseball, we worry whether a player is going to go to college when we're drafting a high schooler and they threaten to go to college, or if they're a two-sport star like Giancarlo Stanton. We worry that Stanton's going to go play football and not baseball. We worry back before slotting that a player and his agent will want too much money because you negotiate before you draft a player. And so there are many reasons, not always skill, that a player falls in the MLB draft. In the NBA draft, when you've got foreign players, some of them don't want to come to the States immediately. Jokic did not come immediately. Some of them don't translate, like some of the Japanese players come to Major League Baseball. Not everyone's Ichiro. There's plenty of Dice K's in there, right? If people remember who Dice K is, who was going to be the second coming of Jesus, and he ended up being, basically nothing. Jokic is somebody, when you look at him, and if you look at him still today, he looks more like Bryant Reeves to me, or Paul Mokeski, than any other player. And I'm doing a real callback now to the
wow.
80s,
He
right?
just went early 80s Milwaukee Bucks.
I did. I'm sorry. I don't mean to do this to your audience, but I'm talking about sort of when you look at him, he looks like he's out of breath. He looks like he's always bleeding and scratched, and he's not graceful. And all of a sudden you realize he's the most effective big man. And this is a major statement because I was the heart of Hakeem Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing is my favorite player, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Shaquille O'Neal. I've seen them all. I mean, after Bill Russell. He is the most effective big man I've seen, and this is not recency bias. That's how good he is, both passing and shooting from 3, from 2, around the rim. coast to coast. Patrick Ewing didn't bring the ball from coast to coast. Neither did Kareem. Neither did Shaq. Jokic can go coast to coast behind his back and put it in, and you just can't believe what you're watching.
There's no doubt that he is very special. And I love you bringing up the old guys, because now my brain started rolling through a few others that I'm thinking of what they're supposed to look like.
And he goes big country. Bryant Reeves from Paul McKeskey. I mean, you brought
Listen,
your
it sounds
sir.
as though I'm going old school, and it sounds as though I'm doing it by color, but I'm not. I'm doing it according to the way they carry themselves on the court. Right? Jokic, when you look at him, this guy's putting up 40 with 20 rebounds and 15 assists, and you just sort of look at him and you cannot imagine, and then you see him fleet of foot. I want to point out one more thing about Jokic, that I would rather have him to start a team than Giannis, because people have been asking me that. If you could have one player, who do you start your team with? And the reason it's Jokic is whenever Giannis does his Euro step, all I do as a president of a team is think he's about to sprain his ankle. He's about to step on somebody, and that's it. He's going to go down. He just looks more frail. With Jokic, I never worry about him, because for whatever reason, he always gets back up and down the court, knock wood, never gets hurt, and he makes his teammates better, all of them, every day.
Jokic also doesn't airball free throws.
He does not. He actually hits his free throws, which is pretty remarkable, and he does it within 10 seconds. So all in all, I'm taking Jokic over any other player in the NBA right now.
David, the Miami Marlins are 5 games above 500 right now.
They're
Arise
so
is
angry.
nearly batting 400. And yet, a homestand of which they won 3 games, they drew less than 11,000 fans per game. Is there anything that can happen for this team to draw fans?
Well, let's start with the Panthers and Heat have to get eliminated. I mean, that's really been a nightmare for the Marlins, and they all pretend they're rooting for them, but no, they want them eliminated as quickly as possible, because so there can be focus on the Marlins. There's been zero focus on the Marlins. But keep in mind, attendance is a lagging indicator. They're not going to all of a sudden start drawing big crowds this year, but if they have a good year and have a playoff run in October, you sell that into the next season through season tickets, and that helps your daily midweek attendance. You need that base that the Marlins just don't have.
Listen, Jazz Chisholm is hurt and has missed the last 3-4 weeks. The best pitcher in baseball last year is their 4th best starter this year, but their run differential's like minus 25. Is this a mirage? When you look at them, do you not see a team that could win 85, 88 games and challenge for a wild card?
I think their pitching is such that they can, and you say you're in a position where Sandy's not pitching well and they're still where they are, but they're also, because of the new balanced schedule, they've had a stretch here playing absolutely crappy teams. Now, you got to beat the crappy teams. You got to sweep the A's, right? You have to play well against the Royals, but that said, they've got a long way to go. And Arias hitting 400, not impossible. Unbelievable contact hitter, but he's being driven in now as well by other players. But I think that the NL East is too strong. Put it this way. I'll say it right now to you in my last 10 seconds. If the Marlins finish ahead of Steve Cohen's Mets, there's going to be a real problem in Queens. A real problem. Because of all the teams Steve Cohen does not want to finish behind, the Marlins are number 1, because he is personally financing the Marlins with revenue sharing. And it wasn't even a thought that they would be able to approach him given his payroll that is so out of control.
He is David Samson. In about 47 minutes, he will begin Nothing Personal with David Samson. He does it weekdays, 8 a.m. live. You can follow him on Twitter at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. David, as always, thanks for joining us. And you need to check David out on our Twitch broadcast, because he is looking fine today.
Ah, shucks.
Fine. Got the hair slicked back, got the black sport coat on.
Isn't it time for a commercial?
You are looking lean and mean, my friend.
Goodbye.
David Samson joining us here on Miller and Moulton. I did. I have to admit, there are times in which we all look a little sleep deprived doing mornings. He looked pretty, he looked pretty good this morning.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So when you hear that commercial and he says, come on down and have a soda and a smile, do you think of anything? Because I think of Eddie Murphy's routine, which he was making fun of Cosby. When Cosby was selling Coke, cola, and Eddie Murphy did the routine in which he says in Cosby's voice, Bill, have a Coke and a smile and shut the up. Yeah, it's me.
Right. I keep forgetting one of these Tuesdays I'm showing up in a sport jacket.
I text Samson. I go, how many shows you going to go on this week that tell you look both fly and fine? So apparently, Mark, you're going to put your jacket on for the segment, and Mongo's going to put his blazer on just to watch it.
I like it. Although to keep up with Samson, I'm going to have to find one of those Naples consignment stores and hope somebody really rich just died.
It's always possible. Fort Myers, Naples, Tampa, St. Pete. I mean, it's always doable. David Samson, the most interesting man in the world. I don't think he has the voice to be the most interesting man in the world.
We'll just give him either me or you to do the voiceovers, and he'll just speak it. Oh my gosh. So I didn't see Glover's putt. A buddy of mine just sent it to me. You know, him missing that 2-footer. And then he just sent me another one, the worst, because he went from the short putter to the long putter because he had the yip so bad with the short putter.
Yep.
Yep, almost drove off the road yesterday, David.
Oh my God, I would have hit something.
I was stopped. I was in the car line. I was listening to the station, waiting to pick up because yesterday, because you finished the school year with 2 half days and no after school. Because why would Monday and Tuesday be, easy to get your kids?
So today's it?
Today's it. Of which, what'd you do at school? We watched a couple movies.
Right.
Had pizza. Bless you.
Thanks. Coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. 21,000. That's all you have to type in to text the show. Now, if you've never texted us before, you need to send a keyword with 21,000, that being FSN Radio. And once you do that, you're in. Text us whatever's on your mind. You can take in the show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, which you get to see the two of us and also some of our guests, like David Samson, who we just had on, who had his black hair slicked back, had on a nice black blazer, looked like he was going out.
You were impressed with the wardrobe.
I was. Yeah, somebody who is not a decent dresser anymore. Used to be. High school, college, early in my television broadcasting career. Oh, man, I was one of the best dressed guys in the newsroom. And then I saw too many movies in which they're wearing jeans. Hell, they don't even tuck in their shirts. In fact, you're encouraged not to tuck in your shirt. Your shirt lays flatter, all right, and smoother, doesn't bunch up if you don't tuck it in, and preferably sit on the back of it if you can. So then I'm like, well, hell. And then once you go to work in Florida, I mean, come on, you don't even put on pants.
It was a very South Beach night fit from David Samson.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's an East Coast guy.
Yeah. I mean,
the sport jacket still works over there.
Yeah.
We don't do that on this coast. We barely do a golf shirt. You get a plain T-shirt.
Yeah.
Then you're dressed up.
I mean, I asked him, is that his grab the sport coat when you're heading to the steak place and it's so nice they require you to wear a dinner jacket? And he's like, oh, no, this is above that. I'm like, oh, look at you. Listen, Mark, you and I, we can hold grudges. We're open about that. Could you imagine right now if you're the city of Oakland? Because when the A's announced they were leaving, I'm making us Oakland, we gave them the middle finger. We were just like, hey, we're not negotiating with you anymore. You're dead to us. Okay. And by the way, when your lease is up next year, even though your ballpark's not going to be ready till like 2027, don't think about playing in Oakland, by the way. We're getting rid of you the first day we can.
They're public enemy number one in that city. And there's not a lot of good things going on in Oakland right now.
No, not really. No. And they're the last pro sports team. Everybody else, the football team left, the basketball team went across, the bay. They're in San Francisco. Left Oakland in the dust. And now, Mark, how many times would they have to call us for us to answer the phone?
David, if we're Oakland, and I think you and I are Oakland.
That's why I brought it up, because we are Oakland.
I don't know what they would have to do to get Oakland to answer the phone right now.
They would probably have to show up somewhere where we are to talk to them, right? I mean, who knows? But I don't know. Find us at the grocery store. Something. They happen to, we're at the same restaurant and they walk over. They go, "Hey, I've been trying to call you for months."
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out a way to bump into us.
Right.
And we are doing everything within our power to avoid going any place where we might see them.
Right. We're walking into places showing pictures of the owner of the Oakland A's. If this guy comes in, arrest him, by the way.
Running out back doors before they can bump into us. Pressing the door close on the elevator as they're running, going, wait.
Sorry.
Not a chance.
No room. Yep. So that interests me here. Because,
it interests me because of what you brought up. Tampa's next.
Yes.
And Oakland can't get out of their own way to get this stadium deal, which is buying the Rays more time, or is it?
Well, in a way, the A's shouldn't matter because the Rays have a lease that expires after 2027. So in theory, the clock's already ticking. But Major League Baseball is not putting any pressure on the state of Florida or the Tampa Bay region until Oakland gets resolved. I mean, Bud Selig helped David Samson get the Marlins a new stadium. I mean, Major League Baseball was all in, twisting arms, changing votes. They had politicians who were on the record voting a certain way, and when they got it back on the ballot the next time, they voted differently. Bud Selig was all in saving baseball in Miami. Major League Baseball hasn't done a thing yet. They do not want the Rays to move. They do not want the Rays taking up a great expansion market. So they need Oakland resolved, and then they're going to put all their weight, however much of it they want to lean on the scale with, Mark. We haven't seen Manfred pull a Selig yet. He's been more worried about pitch clocks. He hasn't gotten involved with Oakland, and he hasn't gotten involved with Tampa Bay except to release a few statements. But that's why we follow this one closely. Because, let's face it, do we think any money's coming from Tallahassee?
Not a dime.
And David Samson got money from Tallahassee. Now, I got most of it from Miami-Dade, but he got money from Tallahassee.
And there doesn't appear to be an avenue to get money from Tallahassee this time.
And by the way, the one thing that both owners of the Rays and A's have in common, neither one wants to dip into their front pocket and pay any money.
I mean, Sternberg talked about it with a couple of the different deals they were going to do. He was going to pay for his end by selling the naming rights to the stadium.
Right. So basically, if he can get Publix to put their name on the stadium, Publix will pay his $400 million, $20 million a year for 20 years. That's Stu Sternberg's idea of pumping money into this thing.
And that's been his only idea of pumping money into it so far. So that's the reason that we've paid attention to this Oakland situation probably a little more than most. Because it's the precursor to whatever is going to happen in Tampa. Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Hey, I don't know if you guys realize it, but the Texas Rangers are one of the best teams in baseball. They have the second best record in the AAL, in the league, actually, and they won on a walk-off last night.
Low bounces it left side and through, base hit. Here comes Simeon. The throw on the way. It's offline, and the Rangers win it. Just a little more pixie dust on this magical start to the season. Nathaniel Lowe with a game winner, and it's 4-3.
Marcus Simeon extends his hit streak to 24 consecutive games. Nathaniel Lowe with the walk-off. Rangers, second best record in Major League Baseball.
39-20 are the Rangers, one of 4 teams 600 and above in the American League, along with the Astros, the Orioles, and the Rays. And that's our Clutch Vodka play of the day. That's Clutch with a K.
With a run differential 59 games into the season of plus 153. They're outscoring their opponents by 2.5 runs a game. That's like legendary stuff.
That's silly.
Yeah. I mean, the Rays run differentials like $1.25. And the Rangers are like, hold our beer.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. We'll talk a little longest day in golf coming up, and taking your text as always at 21,000 right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Saturday at the Trop, Rays Rangers, Nathan Eovaldi against Shane McClanahan. Combined, the two pitchers are 17-3. I can't believe Fox isn't going to make it their game of the week. Right now, Fox's Saturday night game of the week is 2 below 500 teams, Cubs and the Giants. I mean, the two best teams in baseball are playing each other.
If I have this right, how many? It was 37 games.
What are you talking about?
The Rays stretch there, or 39? 39 games. Yeah, they're 20-13 if I've got it right so far.
And then they'll play Twins, Rangers. And that'll end it.
Yeah.
No, mister, he didn't.
No, it didn't come close.
If I'm Fox, I know Cubs, Giants, but they're both below 500. I mean, the Rays and the Rangers are the two best teams in baseball. Their aces are both pitching, although DeGrom should be their ace, but he's hurt. I mean, I got to show that game.
Perusing this Athletics long article on gambling inside of NFL locker rooms. Have you seen this, David?
No.
They just do anonymous questions with players. How did your team teach you about the policy? What did you know about it before the recent suspensions? They would talk about it the first day of camp for the first couple of days of camp. Each day they talk about the new rules, so I assumed that they talked about it. But there's so much that they cram in front of our face as long as it's easy to get lost. After a long day of camp, then we have to go to these evening meetings and go over this stuff. Do you think everyone's minds are in the right place? Like, oh, wow, I'm really thinking about gambling. No, I'm thinking about practice and hoping that they don't cut me.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Panthers got whooped last night. If it's possible for the game to not be as close as the final score of 7-2 last night was. Florida down 2 spit. They head home. Games 3 and 4. Thursday, Saturday. 5 NHL teams have lost the first 2 games of the finals and come back and won the cup. 2 of them this century, in fact. The 2009 Penguins and the 2011 Bruins. Of course, they didn't lose the first 2 games by a collective score of 12-4. But we'll see. Game 3 NBA Finals tomorrow night, Miami. Game 3 Thursday night, Stanley Cup Finals in Fort Lauderdale. Off night tonight. Unless you want to watch the Rays and the Marlins, a couple of playoff teams. So, longest day of golf was yesterday. Final day to qualify for the U.S. Open. And 36 holes, Mark. Man, this tournament grinds you. Remember, they used to do the 18-hole playoff on Monday. I mean, this has always been the toughest tournament in the sport.
And they like it that way. I mean,
really
make
do.
no mistake, they love it being the longest day of golf. They like everything about it. In every one of these final qualifiers, more times than not, if you look at yesterday, how many of them went to playoffs? Where it's 4 guys fighting for 3 spots or 4 guys fighting for 1 spot.
Speaking of playoffs, Lucas Glover. And first off, let's just take Lucas Glover and have a little tangent here. Why does Lucas Glover have to qualify for the U.S. Open? He won it in 2009. If this were the Masters, the PGA, or the Open Championship, he's in. He's in till he's at least in his 60s. I mean, don't you find it interesting, remarkable, disturbing? I mean,
I don't find it disturbing that in this tournament you don't get a lifetime exemption. The courses are too hard. I don't need some guy going shooting 82. I don't.
But he's 43. Like, I'd even understand it if they gave you an exemption until you got to Champions Tour age. Because let's face it, I mean, it's difficult even for Longer and them just to make the cut in the U.S. Open is tough. Never mind to, challenge. But I mean, it surprised me, Mark. First, I'm like, wait a minute, he's got to qualify? Didn't he win this thing? And then you look up and he's 43. It's like, wow. Goes back to just, USGA. They don't mess around. Yeah, you won it. Congratulations. We'll give you 10 years. Then after that, what have you done for us lately? So, Mark, he goes out, 36-hole qualifier. He shoots 63 in the first round. I mean, basically, throw a bunch of pars up on the board and you're in.
Right. I think he was 2 up on the field after the first 18. I don't think anybody even shot 64. I think there was a couple of 65s, but he was 2 clear of the field after the first round.
Well, it turns out if he had shot even par in his second round, he would have made it. But he shot 1 over, 73, and he was in a playoff. Mark, did you see the putt that he missed to be eliminated from the playoff?
I did.
Mark, have you ever missed a putt that short in your life? And by the way, you're about a 15 handicap, right? 12?
A little better than that. I think I'm a 10 these days, but yeah.
Okay. So you're a 10 handicapper, which is funny, by the way, because you do nothing but complain about the state of your game.
Because I can't play to my handicap.
Okay. So, Mark, was that putt 2 feet?
Oh, yeah. Not much longer.
Wow. I honestly don't think I've ever missed a putt that short. Ever.
I would think that if you played golf, you've missed one that short. I think we all have. But under the circumstances, given the talent of the player, that's a putt that should go in. But Lucas Glover's had trouble with the short stick there for a while.
In fact, didn't he change?
Went to the long putter.
Because he's got the yips.
And he yipped that one.
With the long putter, he yipped it. That's tough to do. So anyway, he didn't qualify. The 13-year-old you may have heard about was trying to make U.S. Open men's history, be the youngest qualifier. Jaden's, I don't know if it's Song or Soong because it's 2 O's, S-O-O-N-G. Anyway, 13-year-old from California. Yeah, he missed it by 13 shots. He shot 73, 76 trying to qualify out in Los Angeles. But still, a 13-year-old makes it to the final round of qualifying. Remember, there was a story about Hovland, who wins the Memorial, and just a few miles away, they're having the U.S. Open qualifier on the day after the Memorial. His college teammate, Zach Backow, is playing in it, and Hovland caddied for him yesterday. 36 holes, carrying the bag. His buddy
That's
didn't
awesome.
make it.
That's
It is
awesome.
awesome. Some LIV guys qualified. Sebastian Munoz, Carlos Ortiz, they qualified. You know who didn't make it? Harold Varner III. Tried to qualify, didn't make it. He just won 2 weeks ago on the LIV Tour. And this is where, by the way, world rankings come into play.
Absolutely.
Harold Varner should
Sergio
be.
Garcia qualified. He's
Right.
in.
He's in. But Sergio at this stage of his career would not have been a top 60 player in the world. Harold Varner, I believe, Mark, would be a top 60 player in the world if we had even a legitimate world golf ranking system. Even with him not having any points over the last year, I think Harold Varner, he won on the European Tour last year in Saudi Arabia, ironically. But so you're Fred Biondi. You're the Florida Gator who's had a hell of a week last week. At the beginning of the week, you won the NCAA Individual Championship. Just the third Florida Gator to ever do it, by the way. There's been a few good golfers coming out of the University of Florida. And then you get the deciding point in the team championship to lead the Gators to the national team championship. But because you're the NCAA champion, they reserve a spot for you in the U.S. Open if you stay an amateur. You turn pro, we give that spot to an alternate. Sorry, you don't make it as a pro. So what do you do, Mark, if you're Fred Biondi? You got the RBC Canadian this week, and then it's the U.S. Open. Do you hold off turning pro for 2 weeks to play in the Open?
100%. It's a no-brainer to me. I'm playing in the U.S. Open, and I'm turning pro the Monday after.
He turned pro.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done it that way. I'd have played in the Open.
So what would you all have done? I'm guessing he's got to be in the RBC this week, right? I mean, he didn't turn pro to go play in the Korn Ferry event, did he? I mean, Fred Biondi, Biondi, he's got to be playing this week. But would have been playing next week if he had stayed an amateur. So Stuart Sink qualified. Now, I understand why Stuart Sink had to qualify. Yes, he's an Open champion, but that was 2009. And you get like a 5-year, you're in everything after you win like the Open Championship. Now, he can go play across the pond until he's 65, but I can understand why Stuart Sink is not eligible for the U.S. Open in 2023. Apparently, his wife gave him a pep talk, basically a little tough love, said, go out there, come on now. It's your type of golf. And he went out and got on a roll and qualified. And Michael Block played really well yesterday north of the border. 5 under for 36 holes. Finished 6th in his qualifier. There's only one problem. He only had 3 spots. He was 2 shots out of the playoff.
His son missed by a bunch trying in L.A., went 81-71.
So some of the highlights from the longest day in golf yesterday, 36 holes trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. And what is this? Is this the third round of qualifying? Second or third?
It's the third, technically.
Right. So, I mean, it is an Open. This is what they talk about, U.S. Open Championship. And this is what we thought nearly a year ago when it was getting really hot and heavy about LIV and the controversy. And we just thought, well, this would go against what these events are all about. They're open qualifying events. Sergio, and goodness knows Sergio can run his mouth and make a bunch of noise. And Sergio kept his mouth shut and went out and qualified.
Now, I believe they got right to the last round to qualify. And all the live, that's PGA Tour players and live players, depending on status, get right to the final event of qualifying. They don't have to go through the same gauntlet as the Club Pro in Fort Myers had to.
But remember, Sergio, when the 2017 Masters, that gets you 5 years of the 2 Opens in the PGA. Well, that expired last year. So Sergio's, got to qualify. I'm curious to see after. Now, I will say, if I was the R&A for everything that Sergio has done for European golf, I would not make Sergio qualify for the Open Championship. You could be mad at him and, whatever. But come on. I would give Sergio a special exemption across the pond.
They won't. They won't, because they've dug their heels in even deeper, really, than the PGA Tour in a lot of ways. They've already thrown him off the Ryder Cup team.
Although Rahm is letting everybody know he wants him on the team. He ain't holding back. Listen, our team's going to be deeper and better than their team, but their top 6 guys are going to be really good. I mean, Sunday singles, they're going to have a numbers problem, but on Friday and Saturday, they may just, Europe will do that. We like to play everybody. Let's get everybody in.
Yeah, they don't care.
No.
Captain's picks can sit all day Friday and Saturday and play one round if that's the way they want to do it. They've never had a problem playing the Ryder Cup that way.
Nope. And they don't even care if you qualify 4th. You're somebody who plays only on the European Tour and you're 4th in points and what have you. And they just tap you on the shoulder and go, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. You're like our second worst guy. You'll play Sunday. If somebody gets tired or hurt, maybe I'll put you in late on Saturday, but you could take Friday off right now. But I mean, Hovland's in good form. Rahm, Rory.
They're stacked at the top.
Matt Fitzpatrick. I mean, they're going to be able to put 4 twosomes out there. I don't know about Sunday singles, but they could run the same 8 guys into the ground, Mark, on Friday and Saturday.
But Sunday singles, anything can happen. Yep. It's really about making shots. And when they're at that level, we've seen upsets galore happen in that type of format. So just a couple of things we're paying attention. The longest day in golf leading us to the Open Championship and the Ryder Cup down the road here on Miller and Moulton. 21,000 is the text line. Got someone talking about the longest day in golf. Says, I caddied for a friend several years ago at East Lake in Atlanta, 36 holes, 10 hours, paired with Larry Nelson and Bob Friend. One of the best days in my life.
Wow, Larry Nelson. Larry Nelson, a U.S. Open champion, 2-time PGA champion.
Go qualify.
He won the damn thing.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah. Man.
It's the reason it's the toughest tournament to win.
Larry Nelson's he should have said, I'm a Hall of Famer, for goodness sake. Like the nicest guy in the world, too. A veteran, which is worthy of mention every day, but certainly on this day, D-Day. Another reason why Larry Nelson get passed over as Ryder Cup captain's just atrocious. Won the PGA twice. They run the Ryder Cup. Went 5-0, by the way. Larry Nelson was the first American to go 5-0 in a Ryder Cup. And they don't make him captain. And not only that, he learned the game from a club pro after he came back from serving. I'm sorry.
It's a sore spot with you, isn't it?
Really bothers me. Bothers Azinger too.
Miller and Moulton. Trying not to bother you right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod and Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He just texted me.
Huh?
Did you guys see my text?
Yes. Yep.
He just texted like 3 minutes ago. I had calls out to 4 Marlins guests. Went to bed thinking, somebody will, come through. I'll wake up to a text. Nothing.
And according to the Inside the Field, it doesn't have his name on here, David, but it does have, PGA #1 player, PGA Tour University. So I think that's him.
At the RBC, you mean?
Yes.
Biondi?
Yes. It doesn't have his name, but it says #1 player on PGA Tour University, which I think that's what that is. Not positive.
Yeah, I would have stayed amateur for 2 more weeks.
Damn right.
I would have used the U.S. Open as an opportunity to get sponsorship. Morning, Logic Man. Felipe, did you see my text?
He's sleeping. Felipe, wake up. We have a guest coming up, right? We have a guest you have to call. I just told you that.
No, I know.
Oh, okay. Well, you're over there listening to something, taking a nap. I mean,
we've never had the voice of the Marlins on.
not that I know. Was Wes Johnson the guy that, the Twins pitching coach that went to LSU as their pitching coach like 2 years ago?
He's the guy who just got the Georgia job. Yeah. Which is funny because LSU's still alive in the College World Series.
Right. They're going to play Kentucky. A lot of hits batsmen.
I've never seen a game at LSU, but the baseball stadium's like a block from the football stadium. Do you remember we were at the stadium?
Yeah.
if you were standing in the parking lot with the stadium behind us, okay, if you looked straight out, that's one block. That's where the baseball stadium is.
I walked by it.
Okay.
When I was walking around.
Well, Indiana, Kentucky. I mean, I'll bet there were a few Indiana people there too. Yeah, we mentioned Roger Craig yesterday.
Okay. Did not know that. So maybe he's not. I don't see his name then inside the field.
Kyle's on hold. We're back in 30.
All right. Thank you.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network anyway, in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Halfway home in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. The voice of the Miami Marlins is kind enough to join us this morning. Kyle Seeloff. You can follow him on Twitter at Kyle_Seeloff, Sielaff. Kyle, it's David and Mark. First off, thanks for doing this. Secondly, particularly at this hour, how are you?
David and Mark, how are you guys? And not a problem. 8 o'clock's not bad. I can do 8. 8's not a problem.
And a nice early start last night. Maybe a little bit too early for the Marlins, who didn't wake up at the beginning of the game, but rallied again, seeming to get everything right, hitting the ball incredibly well. What do you attribute to this great play that the Marlins have had recently, too?
I think you start with the manager, Skip Schumacher. I think his leadership and the culture that he is building has started to permeate and trickle down throughout the clubhouse. And I think the Marlins have flat out started to take advantage of teams that they need to take advantage of. The A's are struggling. The Royals are struggling. Marlins should have taken 2 of 3 against the San Diego Padres. It's been a very, very nice homestand. We'll see if they can keep it going tonight. But you know what? The bottom line, too, outside of Skip, they have pitched well. You'll always be as good as your next day's starting pitcher. And they've gotten some timely hits. Jorge Soler's carried them. Luis Arraez is on 400 watch, which is absolutely insane to say in this day and age. But they've gotten big hits. They've rallied around each other. I think they enjoy being around each other, and they're playing for each other.
Okay, can you talk about Skip a little bit? Like, what have you, because you were in and around the team the last few years. So what is the difference between the clubhouse under Mattingly and under Schumacher?
So it's hard for me to say exactly what the difference is. I would totally be lying to you if I was trying to pinpoint exactly what it was. But, when you bring somebody new in, you just establish a new culture. And there was nothing wrong with Dottie's culture. But Skip comes in and he has a different culture, and it's really taken a hold. I tell people all the time, this is my 11th season with the ball club. We train with the St. Louis Cardinals up in Jupiter. And I've always been fascinated by the way that they've gone about their business, and I watched them during spring training. And Skip Schumacher came up in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. It's kind of a no-nonsense culture. We're going to come in here. We're going to get our business done. We're kind of coming here to win. And people that are paying money to watch us, we're going to put a good product out there. We're going to try to win every night for them. So it was funny for me to watch the first day of spring training for years when I was watching the Cardinals, the way that they would drill those guys every single day. Well, day one in spring training, Skip Schumacher brings the same exact drills over from that side because he grew up in that organization. It's just regimented. It's drilled. It's, and there's just an expectation of winning. And I think maybe that's where obviously a lot of it comes from, is that, the season is not acceptable if we don't have a really good shot to win it all in October. And I think that why not have that mindset? People might say, well, that's not going to happen. Well, why not? I mean, if you don't believe it's not going to happen, it's certainly not going to happen. But why not strive to make that the goal? Why not have that mindset? And I think that's what Skip has brought. And I think he's been wonderful. And I think he's really been great to some of these guys. I really do.
Did you see the buy-in in spring training, or did it take something in the regular season for the full buy-in of the team? It's one thing for the manager to try to bring a culture. It's another for the team to buy in. When did you see it starting to take shape?
That's a really good question. It's hard for me to answer. It really is. I think it just became evident that something was a little different, guys, as the season kind of started to unfold. And I would point to some of the one-run wins, right? Like they would start to come back and they would win these one-run games, and now they've come from behind 17 different times. They've come from behind by four runs in the last 2 days, right? I mean, there's all these one-run wins. I don't know, and and I've asked this. I actually asked Jeff Nelson, my broadcast partner, last night, and he said at some point you kind of start to believe, like, hold on a minute here. We're 5 games over 500. We're winning. Like that's all we've done is win here, and we win these close games, and we keep coming back. I don't know if it's a particular moment. I mean, Soler had that ginormous walk-off, a month ago now, when the Marlins are down 4 runs with 2 outs and nobody on in the 9th inning. They came back to beat the Nationals at home. I don't know if you can pinpoint it, but I do really believe that the guys enjoy being around each other, and they've won enough through 61 games now this season where it's like, let's go, let's show up to the ballpark and let's try to win this darn thing every single night. I think teams might be selling us a little short. We're going to go beat them.
Kyle Seeloff, he's the radio voice of the Miami Marlins, the 33-28 Miami Marlins, the 5 seed in the playoffs. If the playoffs began today, Miami Marlins. Follow Kyle on Twitter at Kyle_Seeloff, SIELAFF. Well, you mentioned Arise, and you retweeted a tweet from yesterday in which, through his first 444 career games, he's got a stat line which is equal to that of Tony Gwynn. I mean, that's royalty there when it comes to hitting.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for any of it, to be honest with you. It's unbelievable to watch it every single night. We're not playing baseball, the game, in the way that it used to be played, and there's so much more velocity in today's day and age, and guys are throwing so much hard. Like, you don't see this. And generally speaking, the game that's played today now, it's all about power, right? Like, the front office wants to see, hey, the instant offense. But Kim Eng, to me, deserves a ton of credit for swinging that deal, pulling the trigger on Pablo Lopez this winter, bring Luis Arise over here. And, apparently the Twins weren't sure how much longer that Arise was going to have a position for them. And he was playing first base last season. But anyway, that's neither here nor there within reason. But I don't know how he's doing it. I'm fairly young, and, I grew up watching and remember watching Tony Gwynn, and I marveled at a guy that every single night that he was on the field would be on base 3 or 4 times. And Luis Arise, in some regards, he gets a hit or 2 or 3 every night, and it's insane to me that, June 6th or something? I mean, we're talking about him hitting 400 on June 6th. Like, it's crazy. This guy's unbelievable. And I would also say this too: he's an even better human being than he is a baseball player. He is the most fun, loving teddy bear that you'll ever meet. I love being around the guy. He's unbelievable.
To think this start would be where it is without your ace pitching well, what's it going to take for Alcantara to regain his form, or is it just as simple as the form's close? He hasn't been very lucky this year.
Well, that's a great question. I think if I had that answer, they might hire me. No, you know what? I think what encourages them is that the stuff is still there. It's been an inning every start where it's gotten away. Now, I did read an article that he is one of the top pitchers in baseball that has been hurt the most by the inability to shift this season. And that last year when they were able to shift for him, all the ground balls that might be sneaking through this year were not last year. Those were getting turned into outs. But I think what's encouraging, and as crazy as it may sound, is that the stuff is still there. If you're into all those analytics and stuff, which I will say is extremely helpful to ease the nerves when you go look at everything that Sandy's doing, the stuff is still there. The velocity is still there. The pitches are still there. But it's been an inning every single start that seemingly gets away from him. So, we'll see. We'll see if he's able to figure it out. But if he can figure it out, shoot, I mean, what are they? They've won 4 of his 12 starts now. My goodness, if they were 6-6, they'd be 7 games over. But it is what it is. But I'm confident Sandy will figure it out. He is a guy that hates losing and doing and underperforming. I'm pretty confident Sandy's going to figure it out.
When do we expect to see Jazz back?
Well, we had him on the show on Saturday, and he said, "You'll see me in less than 7 days. I'm pretty good." He also went to the manager the night that he had gotten the turf toe and said he'd be good to go tomorrow. They had to calm that down a little bit. I think, just a total shot in the dark. I think they're going to be very careful with Jazz, and he might have to do a little rehab. I think maybe after this road trip, maybe. I'm not positive. I know nothing in that regard. I know Jazz is ready to go, and he would love to be back today if they would let him come back and play today. But you got to be careful with the kid. He means a lot to the franchise. You rush him back and something happens, and it's like, what were you doing, right? So we're about to set sail on a 9-game, 11-day road trip. I think maybe after the road trip, but we'll see. Maybe he is doing great, and they bring him back early.
Kyle, thanks for doing this. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the start to the season so far for you and the Marlins, and hopefully maybe after the road trip we can reconvene.
All right, guys, give me a call whenever. Happy to join you. Take care. Have a great day.
Kyle Seeloff, the radio voice of the Miami Marlins. To go back to the Luis Arise, So he's played 444 career games between the Twins and the Marlins. He has 524 hits. So he's averaging, like 1.2 hits a game. In Tony Gwynn's first 444 games, he had 526 hits. They both are hitting 324 through their first 444 games. It's heady stuff. Gwynn was hitting 394? 393 or 394 when the strike hit first week of August there in 94. And nobody has challenged 400 since. We're, we're right around 40% of the way through the season. But Luis Arise, after 3 hits last night, is hitting 399. That is ridiculous.
208 at-bats, 11 strikeouts. Doesn't happen much anymore in that league.
No, it doesn't. That's a homestand.
You're darn right it is.
So
Miller and Moulton. Little Marlins talk is there. On fire. They'd be in the playoffs if the season ended today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, DC, I think he's like a freelance writer. I think he lives half the year in Europe. Rick Riley. You got anything here? Because I got something.
Go. All I was thinking is if we go to the gambling story in the NFL at some point.
Okay. We'll go there for the big at 38.
15 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. If you missed any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what you missed, like top of the 7 o'clock hour, David Samson. Last segment, Kyle Seeloff, the radio voice of the Miami Marlins, your 5th seed in the National League playoffs if the season were to end today, Miami Marlins. So earlier in the show, I said one of my favorite days of the year was yesterday. And it's when the College Football Hall of Fame comes up with their list as to, hey, you vote on these guys as to whether or not they're Hall of Famers. And it's a huge list. 78 players, 9 coaches. Now, I mean, they're going to put like 15 or so people in. But I mean, and that's just Division 1A. I mean, there's more players and more coaches for the subdivisions, Mark. But I am going to try to very quickly, alphabetically, remember this. The one criteria everyone needs to keep in mind, every single player that gets mentioned, first off, you'll know their names. But they were a first-team All-American. That is the prerequisite. 10 years removed from playing, and you were a first-team All-American. Flozell Adams, Michigan State lineman. Monte Ball, Wisconsin running back. I mean, with Barry Sanders still tied for most touchdowns in a single season with 39. Eric Bieniemy, the late Jerome Brown. Rocky Kalmus, remember middle linebacker? Bob Stoops' first Oklahoma team that beat Florida State and won the national title. Their big defensive stalwart in the middle of the defense, Rocky Kalmus. Kajana Carter, Penn State running back. Matt Cavanaugh, if you want to go back. By the way, Mark, 50 years. That's how far back they'll go. So you had to have played 1974 or more recent. If it's more than 50 years, you're no longer eligible.
Gotcha.
Matt Cavanaugh played on the Pitt teams with Tony Dorsett that won the national title. Iowa tight end Dallas Clark. Tim Couch, Hall of Famer, yes or no? College Football Hall of Famer. 4th in the Heisman, SEC Player of the Year, was consensus first-team All-American in 98 when he went number 1 in the draft in 99.
I have such trouble with this because you're trying to pick a hall. I mean, it's the one Hall of Fame that one great year can be enough to get you into the Hall of Fame. Exactly. You only had 4 cracks at it, sometimes 5, I get it. But for the most part, you get 1 or 2 cracks at this. Was Tim Couch's 1 year good enough to be a Hall of Fame year? To me, probably not.
Okay, like for example, just 3 guys down on the alphabetical list is Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was a 7th round pick. I mean, Tim Couch was a much better pro prospect than Ken
But
Dorsey.
that's not the question we're asking.
Right. But you could also argue, was Tim Couch a better, quote, player, unquote, than Ken Dorsey? You could make that argument.
He might be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a college football Hall of Famer ahead of Ken Dorsey.
Right. Because we
It's
all
not
know
about who was the better player, who had the better arm, who was the better prospect. Was he a Hall of Famer?
Kenneth Davis, the TCU running back. DJ Dozier, Penn State running back. Mid-'80s. He was on that 86 team that won the national title. Warwick Dunn. Larry Fitzgerald. Willie Galt's not in. That surprised me. Okay. Dan Hampton, who played in the late 70s. Marvin Harrison, Garrison Hurst, Josh Heupel, Ironhead Hayward. Steve Hutchinson, the great Michigan offensive lineman who went on to have a Hall of Fame NFL career with 2 teams. Antonio Langham, 2 legendary plays, SEC title game and national championship game, Alabama defensive back. James Laurinaitis from 15 plus years ago, linebacker, Ohio State. Ryan Leaf.
What an interesting case study that would be right there. What a great collegiate.
Now, remember, okay, he was a first-team All-American in 1997. Do you know who he then beat out in 1997 to be first-team All-American? Peyton Manning. Led Washington State to the Rose Bowl. How many times have they been back in 25 years? Marshawn Lynch, Herman Moore, Kellen Moore, the Boise State quarterback, Ken Norton Jr., going back to the late 80s on those UCLA teams with Terry Donahue, Michael Orr, Julius Peppers, Paul Posluszny on that undefeated Penn State team, Antoine Randall L., Simeon Rice, Dewey Selman, Leroy's brother. They won back-to-back national championships. Richard Seymour, Alex Smith, the Utah quarterback, Darren Smith, the Miami linebacker, helped the Canes win 2 national titles. Takeo Spikes, Terrell Suggs, Michael Vick, Peter Warwick, Eric Weddle, and believe it or not, Mark, and I know you're not big on kickers in the Hall of Fame, Luis Zendejas of Arizona State.
How can you keep Zendejas out?
Somebody from the family's got to be in the building, right? What did I rattle off? 30 guys there?
At least.
And they're all name guys. If you've watched and followed college football, you're like, oh, wow, they were great players.
Well, like when you mentioned Garrison Hurst, because that happened to be in another life for me when I was going to a lot of Georgia football games. He was a special college player. Special. This is hard.
Right. Right. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Because you have to throw away what they did after their collegiate career. It doesn't count. This is just based on their college career.
When he left Georgia, you know the only running back who had rushed for more yards than Garrison Hurst? Right. Won the Doak Walker's best running back in the country, 3rd in the Heisman. SEC Player of the Year. By the way, SEC Player of the Year in 92, when Alabama won the national title, beating Florida in the first ever SEC championship game. Think of all the great players on Alabama and Florida in 92. And the best player in the conference was Garrison Hurst. Now, I know, I'm a little nuts when it comes to Halls of Fame.
No, you're a lot nuts, David. Don't say a little. Don't sell yourself short.
Thank you. I'm a hell of a slouch. Right. But, and I know you're not going to get as excited as I am about this, but
nobody, David, nobody is going to get as excited as you are about this,
including the College Football Hall of Fame. But you do have to acknowledge, you're like, damn, that's a hell of a list. And I only mentioned like 40% of the guys. I just mentioned the guys that I think by name, most everybody would go, oh, yeah, him. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, for as much trouble as we have narrowing down the Pro Football Hall of Fame list from 15 to 6, got 78 guys and 9 coaches. Let's say it again. Larry Coker, Frank Solich, Mark D'Antonio, Tommy Tuberville, 4 of the 9 coaches on the list. I mean, if you just rank them, who's the best coach of the group? I'd go D'Antonio. Worst interview, best coach.
Boy, you've got that right. And we've had him on twice. And I'm a Michigan State alum, and I threw him softballs, and he didn't even hit him out of the park.
We've had 3 of these 4 guys on. We had Tuberville back in the day, and we had Larry Coker.
Literally asked Coach D, what of the Michigan wins that you had, which were better than any other coach that coached there before Duffy Doherty, which one do you remember the most fondly? Well, all of them. Thanks, Coach.
I know we plied it on thick. Hey, Coach, we got an alum. All right. I gave Mark the floor. Mark, just lathered it all up, red carpeted it. But we both vote him in. Think he's a Hall of Fame college coach. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Big day for Prince Harry today, Mark. He's testifying in London court.
I don't care. I don't care. I would rather spend more time talking about the College Football Hall of Fame and Luis Zendejas' candidacy.
Big day.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour. Final segment of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas. Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour begins at the top of the hour in the 239 here on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I do want to say thanks to the John Webb Legal Group in downtown Fort Myers. I was lamenting on Thursday or Friday last week about how my wife is driving me absolutely nuts with all the pens that she's stealing, and also how she crumples up the money in the bottom of her purse. And honestly, the marriage is teetering over those two things. And the John Webb Legal Group sent a note along with a box of pens to our Fort Myers studios, at least to Mark and Felipe's Fort Myers studios. And they said, here, we could probably help with the divorce, but if you decide to stay with it, maybe this will help. Here's some pens. So I'd like to thank the John Webb Legal Group in downtown Fort Myers for trying to save my marriage with a box of pens. Thank you.
That's all it takes, huh? Box of pens?
Well, I'm in my mid-50s, Mark. Almost late 50s. It doesn't take much. That'll help. I mean, that really will. And I did say to her, I made an announcement. It'll take me a month to get a hold of these pens. But when I do, every single one of them is mine. I'm not even bringing them in the house. Got it? Keeping those suckers in my car.
I thought about sending these to you, but instead of sending them to you, sending them directly to your wife.
Oh, my, you really don't like me, do you?
And tell her every once in a while, just give David a pen. It's Tuesday, honey. Here's your pen.
She sent a text during the show this morning. Can I have a 20? During a commercial break, I went out in the hallway. I went, we don't have the type of relationship where like you have to ask me for the money. Okay. I mean, you have all my money. She goes, well, I'm being polite. It's technically in your wallet.
So you're fine with that big block brick
wallet,
40-pound thing you put in your back pocket.
Right.
It's not on you during the show. It was just out in the kitchen or wherever you leave your wallet.
Yeah. It's about 10 feet to my left.
Does she routinely come in and just take money out of it?
No. That's a marriage ender right there.
Right.
It is. She doesn't go in my wallet. I don't go in her purse. Okay. Mark, we both have sovereign states, and that's where they lie. I don't go in her purse. In fact, when she says, go in my purse and get, I just go over, grab the purse, walk it over to her, hand it to her. I go, I am not invading that territory. No.
Do you think I could talk her into every once in a while grabbing your wallet and just mixing all the money up in the wallet?
Oh, my goodness. I might not be able
trying to torture him?
Yes.
I might not be able to do the show if she did that like at 5:50 in the morning. Honestly, I'd be a mess. All my bills are in the proper order. They're all facing in the same direction. Oh my goodness.
I mean, just tell her to shuffle them like a deck of cards.
I gave her money yesterday and she had change. Okay. And she grabs my wallet in front of me and just stuffs the money in it. It's crumpled. The bills are going the wrong way. They're not in the proper order. Ah! Gotta be kidding me. Get out of my face. Not only that, I had to be nice to her. It's the one day she cooks Mondays. It's the only day of the week she cooks. She cooked Monday yesterday. So here she is stuffing my wallet the wrong way and the whole deal, stealing my pens, aggravating the you-know-what of me. But there was chicken, Mark. So, had to be nice.
Well that ends well, David.
Uh-huh. Yep. Potatoes and gravy, too. So I had to suck it up.
You know what's not going to end well? This whole players gambling from facilities.
Oh, it's going to end well, all right.
It's going to end for a bunch of players. This is the little secret in the room that's starting to get exposed as to just how many NFL players are gambling.
Really? And this is a surprise to who exactly?
I don't know.
Well, then they're idiots.
Do you think the league's out of line for suspending these guys for betting on non-NFL games?
Okay, this is what I think. Oh, yes, absolutely. It's legal. It's legal. How can you suspend somebody for doing something that's legal?
Well, there are a lot of states where you can smoke marijuana legally, but you can't be employed if you do. So, I mean, there are instances. We're in a world right now where plenty of states you can smoke recreational marijuana. Doesn't mean with jobs they allow it.
Okay. I mean, I'll grant you that. But to me, if it's legal to sit in the parking lot and place a $25 bet on the Heat and the Nuggets in your state, I don't think the NFL should be allowed to punish you for that. I actually think that's something you can fight them on. And I know they make up their own collective bargaining agreement, what have you. But I mean, to me, if it's legal, but they say, well, these are our rules. Okay, fine. Maybe they'll be fought in court one day. What I thought the NFL should have done, Mark, a much better job a year ago at least, maybe two, when this gambling grounds, when numerous states were racing to their state legislatures to pass legalized gambling when? Literally in time for the next football season.
In which a lot of these sports books are owned, or at least partially owned, by NFL owners, have stakes in many of these high-profile gambling companies.
I thought the NFL should have publicly and privately made a lot of noise, so that it would have been so obvious to anybody paying even the slightest attention to the National Football League what the rules were and what they were going to be going forward.
The Athletics got a long article about this, and they talked to players giving them anonymity, and the players don't, to a man, every player said the league did not talk about this. The teams did not talk about this enough last year. Like they think that the players that were suspended was a little bogus because of how little it was talked about. It's in training camp. It was quick. It's part of your, don't bet on the NFL, but the betting on other games from the facilities had a lot of these guys confused.
Now, for as liberal as I am on the issue of sports gambling and how much I am behind the players who should be able to place a bet in the team parking lot on their phone on a non-NFL game. Mark, I'd be willing to do what baseball does. If you bet on baseball, you're banned for life. I'd be willing to do that in the NFL. You can apply for reinstatement, but I'm telling you what the penalty is. The penalty is life. Because once again, what is the only thing that can bring down a major sports league? The games not being on the up and up. But come on, it's absurd if it's legal in Indiana to bet on sports and a member of the Colts, while in the parking lot before they get on the road, you don't want to text and drive and what have you, and they're planning on going home. So before they leave the parking lot, they place a bet on the night's Pacers Heat game. And then they put their phone down and they drive home. But because they did it in the team parking lot, place the $25 bet on the NBA game, they're going to be suspended 6 weeks. I mean, come on.
But that's the thing. Unless they're betting on their own game, who are they hurting?
Yeah, but you can't bet on the league. They all know one another. You can't have them betting on NFL games,
It's like
period.
insider trading.
Yes.
Almost.
I'm with David. But the one thing in this article that it does point out, shock to no one, where do they really like to gamble? On their alma mater.
Yeah.
Where do they really like to bet? On their Saturday games. We've asked so many players, retired players, if you could lace them up and get one more day, Saturday or Sunday, which would it be? And to a man, it's Saturday. And what are they gambling on? In the locker room. They're not even using bookies. They're not using the systems. You and I are betting one another 10 grand on where you went to school versus where I went to school when they have a game with one another. But they all do say with the way gambling's gone, it's talked about more in the locker rooms than ever before. Spreads are brought up more than ever before. Which is why, David, I would go with what you're saying. I'd go to the baseball rules.
I have no problem dropping the hammer. You cannot place a bet on an NFL game if you are employed by the NFL, period. End of sentence. There's no ambiguity. None. But as for if it's legal in your state, I mean, why should you be penalized for being an NFL player? I just, and I understand the team saying you can still place the bet, you just can't do it on team grounds. Well, with all due respect, you guys insist us being here most of the damn day.
All I'm thinking of is a little area in the parking lot. As someone who used to smoke cigarettes, this area is off the property and seeing a bunch of guys on their cell phones with one step outside of the property getting bets in on a Saturday morning.
So you mean NFL teams have to have like the cell phone wait lot for,
Exactly.
flights?
Gambling lot.
Hey, Jera, is this team property? No. That's the gambling lot.
All
By
right.
the way,
10 grand on the Longhorns.
By the way, the gambling lot is brought to you by Harrah's. I sold it.
It is ironic that at the Caesars Superdome, you can't make a bet if you're a New Orleans Saint player.
Meanwhile, how many of these stadiums are going to have sports books in them soon?
All of them. All of them.
So we can bet. But you, Mr. Wide Receiver, you can't.
At least not here.
I will say, if like this Colts player, name escapes me, Isaiah Rodgers, their starting corner.
I thought it was Michael Pittman.
No.
Oh, I thought it was Isaiah Rodgers.
Isaiah Rodgers.
And listen, how can you not know that you can't bet on the NFL?
You can't. I mean, based on this article that I read with different players at different points in their careers, they all know that they can't bet on the NFL.
I mean, this goes back to Alex Karras and Paul Hornung, who both got suspended for a year. And when Hornung was asked, did you bet on the Packers, on Packers games? He said, yeah, we're really good.
But I also think it's a tremendous thing that we're getting the information this quickly as to them gambling. I think this bodes well for the NFL.
You think so? I'm worried, Mark, of how many players have already placed bets on other sports. Because the technology's there to track them all down. I'm worried about how many players are going to be suspended between now and opening day for bets that they placed in the locker room on their phone on their college alma mater. I mean, how many players Mark, you and I might have, if we were obviously good enough, okay, you and I might have gotten suspended. I mean, first off, yeah, I mean, would we have known that we couldn't on team property place any kind of bets at all?
From the sounds of it, it's 50-50 at best.
And think about it. The two of us had real disposable income, the type of bets we'd be placing. I mean, there's a good chance we'd be one of those Lions suspended for 6 games.
And then if you're not a good player, you're done.
Well, and in our case, we'd be cut.
Right.
I'm sorry. I can get behind betting against NFL games being a violation, but you cannot be suspended an entire season for betting on your alma mater.
If you do it from a team facility, you can.
Well, I don't think it's NFL's. It's a year. I believe if you bet on team planes, locker rooms, grounds, on other sports, I think it's 6.
That's what they gave the 2 Lions players with 6 games.
But still, I mean, that's over a third of your salary. The minimum wage in the NFL is around $700,000. I mean, so.
But we'll see if Isaiah Rodgers indeed bet on the Colts. We'll see what type of suspension they give him.
They just gave Michael Pittman a year. It was Isaiah Rodgers and Michael Pittman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It's funny. I've not seen Pittman's name at all.
And that's a big name, getting a year suspension.
Well, if it's 2 players, that's 2 starters. That's a wide receiver and a corner.
Miller and Moulton, Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We thank you for listening. We'll do it all over tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. The bonus hour in the 239 is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Pittman did not get suspended.
I got. Damn it!
What? I can't hear you.
No one has been suspended, have they? I
No,
mean,
two Lions have.
Oh, okay, but
no, Pittman was not. He got duped by a fake Adam Schefter account.
Adam Schefter.
Did you see this Samantha Rivera clip?
Live
lady that
post-game?
I don't know if it's post or pre. She's doing a stand-up and someone's trying to get in. She stiff arms the Vegas fan right out of the picture. It's fantastic.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The beginning of the bonus hour. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton. Miss any part of our show earlier, the 3 hours we've already done, go to floridasportsnetwork.com and download what it is you missed. Do want to clarify what we were just talking about. It's just one Colts player that is being linked to gambling on his own team. Just
2 hours and 56 minutes of incredible sports coverage.
Played
1 minute,
myself.
1 minute of a producer jumping in to argue with us over a false report.
Arrest me.
He got duped by a fake Schefter account.
God.
He's not the first, and he won't be the last.
Twitter is a dangerous place.
Yes, it is.
Also
Isaiah
like landmines, honestly.
Isaiah Rodgers is the player, a starting corner for the Colts, likely to be suspended for at least the next year. Apparently, he's already admitting to having placed bets on Colts games last year. So there. So once again, 2 Lions and 1 Colts player. That's it. We got like 1,700 guys in the league.
There was a couple of the Washington players. They were already cut. 2 Lions players were cut as well. So there have been a couple more.
Okay. But so only 3 who bet on their own teams or on NFL games. You think some of the others also did?
No, the 2 Lions that were suspended did not bet on NFL games.
Oh, okay.
They just bet from team facilities.
Gotcha. So they got the 6 games for betting on the team property.
Correct.
Okay. And that's locker room, parking lot, planes, weight room. Right. Okay. I mean, what do we really think?
Look, I don't know what percent would be grabbing a phone and doing it on an app. But these guys are competitors. They compete at everything. Why are we having the match with Kelsey and Mahomes taking on Curry and Thompson on TV and golf? Do you think they're not betting on that when they're playing? These guys compete. And when you compete and have a lot of disposable income, the odds are you bet.
By the way, did you see the little event yesterday at the White House? Speaking of Kelsey and Mahomes. I'll tell you what, Mahomes is a buddy. He is. I mean, you never want to be making a drunken fool of yourself at, the White House.
Oh, you think that he actually pulled him off of there and you don't think that was staged?
No. I think Mahomes actually went over and said, you know what, bro, I think we need to.
I think it was totally staged.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know.
I hope it was. But no, I think hit it really well about Travis Kelce, who, quick tangent, 13 months ago, when Joe Buck did the first thing he ever did for ESPN, he did a Manning cast like broadcast for 4 days before the PGA, the 4 days of the 2022 PGA Championship. He did, 3 hours a day pre, if you will. And they had Kelsey on as a guest. He was awesome. 30 minutes, uninterrupted, funny, could talk about anything, football, life, you name it, was great. We all looked at one another like, oh my goodness, he's going to be John Madden. This guy's going to be a star. And you said it months ago, Mark. You're like, I think he's trying to be Gronk. I think he's trying to replace Gronk. Gronk retired. We guess we need a Gronk. And Kelsey's like, I can do Gronk. Because he's what? He's got the wrestling thing, that he does.
Right.
He's a big guy. What's he, like 6'7", 260 is a tight end?
Pulled off a red suit yesterday. I didn't think he could. I really didn't think he could do that, but he pulled off the red suit.
Not everybody can do that. I think it looks better the bigger you are, but
Well, yeah, if you're 5'8" pulling that, you can't pull that. You've got to have size if you're going to go a lot of color.
Yeah, you got to hide in the back, I think. So, I mean, he's a huge person. I mean, how many personalities in the NFL are bigger than Travis Kelce? I don't know if there's 3. I mean, he's a big personality.
He's got this figured out.
He does. He does. He knows he's got about 3 years left. Okay. Then I'll retire about 36, 37. Go to the Hall of Fame. If I want to do broadcasting, I'll have my offers. I mean, if you think about it, you look at what's going on in broadcasting. I mean, the Manning casts, Pat McAfee being picked up. I mean, Mark, for example, all right, the Marlins play-by-play man, all right, who we had on, Kyle Seeloff. He got the gig because he's more conversational than the guy they had there for 15 years. They wanted a more conversational broadcast.
Well, when you're not winning, you better have good conversation. Now they're winning and have good conversation.
But you could see where going forward, does network television go more Manning cast, McAfee, Kelsey-esque, okay, in which it's more of a running, jovial conversation. We're not there yet, but I wonder if by the end of this decade, if we could be.
Would be a huge shift. I mean, it would, and I don't think we're there. I don't think we're close to it. I mean, I think the numbers show it. When the Manning cast is on, we've talked about this, as much as I enjoy the Manning cast, I like when the two of them break down football a little bit more than the conversation. But you're talking 1.5 million people for a big one versus 14 million on ESPN watching the regular broadcast.
Right. But the Chiefs were at the White House yesterday. That's all. And,
and they want to be called a dynasty now.
That's their thing, huh?
Well, it was Kelsey's thing. We're a dynasty.
So what is it? 5 straight AFC championship games, 3 appearances in the Super Bowl. They've won 2.
Is that a dynasty? Does that qualify for you as a dynasty?
Oh, boy. That's right on the... Well, okay. How about this? I'll answer the question with a series of questions. I just saw the documentary again the other day on the Bills. Do you consider the Bills going to 4 straight Super Bowls? Do you consider the Bills a dynasty?
No.
Okay.
They didn't win the last game, David.
If they had won one of them, would you consider them a dynasty?
No.
Okay. Well, that's good. I want to, I want to know what the floor is. I need to establish what the floor is for you to becoming a dynasty.
And I think for me, it would have had to have been 3 of the 4, not even 2 of the 4.
Okay. So the Chiefs lost in overtime, AFC Championship game in 2018 to Brady and the Patriots. They went to the Super Bowl and won it in 19. They went to the Super Bowl and lost it in 20. They lost in overtime in the AFC Championship game in 21. They went to the Super Bowl and won it in 22. So, 3 out of the last 4 years, they've been in the Super Bowl. 5 consecutive years, they've been in the AFC Championship game. 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 wins. How about one more question for you? Do you consider the Warriors a dynasty?
Really close. They walk right up there.
The Golden State Warriors
are
a dynasty.
Okay, well, And
To
you might be right. I mean, this is an opinion, but if you go back to 2015 and I'll even not count this year. I'll end it with an 8-year run, 2015 through 2022. They went to what? 6 finals, won 4.
They never lost a series in the West until the Lakers.
Well, that's because the other 2 years they didn't make the playoffs at all. So in an 8-year run, they made 6 finals, won 4 of them. The other 2 years, they didn't even make the playoffs.
That's where, to me, if you're a dynasty, you're there every year. They have 2 years that they didn't make the postseason. That's tough for me.
Now, so think about, how about this? The difference between the Chiefs and the Warriors. Let's just forget the 4th title in 2022. If you just go the 5-year, 2015 through 2019, they made five championships, right? All 5. They won 3. Here are the Chiefs during their 5-year run. They made 3 championships, 5 conference championships. They won 2. So, Mark, if you don't consider the Warriors a dynasty, or if you think they're, quote, close, you definitely don't consider the Chiefs a dynasty.
No. And I guess having to hear about the Celtic dynasty and UCLA's dynasty, the benchmark's a little higher for me. That a 5-year span isn't, and maybe that's the modern day, and that's all you can pull off in free agency.
Right. And I do think that that's important.
It is critical.
Baseball free agency started in the mid-'70s, and we could go sport by sport. That's why the Cowboys were really the first salary cap dynasty, because free agency started around 92, 93.
And maybe it's a 5-year run. Maybe I have to rethink what it is now with free agency, with the way the leagues are, salary cap, and how you're able to, how you have to transform a roster so quickly. Maybe I'm being too harsh.
What if they duplicate 2020? They get to the AFC title game, they win it, they go to the Super Bowl, they get beat. That would be 4 Super Bowl appearances in 5 years, 2 wins.
Could they win it for me? And then I can give them the dynasty? Well, you have to win more than half of the titles.
So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but it's not a dynasty. 3 out of 4 would be a dynasty. Okay. At least you laid your, line in the sand there.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David. Oh, he's not there. Holy crap. So, David?
Yes, sir.
One of the guys that I didn't even just saw this. Frankie Cappan III from Minnesota played at FGCU for a year. It's a kid that transferred from Alabama at FGCU.
Really?
Qualified for the Open with mom on the bag yesterday.
Well, that's awesome. We got to bring that up.
Yeah. One of 5 in Durham to qualify. No playoff. That's where Varner was for the record.
How do you spell his last name?
Come on. I was just looking at it. It is Capan.
By the way, mom was on the bag helping him get through Corn Ferry Q school. I don't know if he made the Corn Ferry Tour, but he made it to the final stage of qualifying. Yeah, he's on the tour.
He's only played in one event, according to PGAtour.com. Oh, no, I'm sorry. 10 events play. Okay, that's better. Yeah. He's played in one tour event. He's been on Corn Ferry all year.
So he's got a sponsorship deal with Capstone Hospitality because the CEO of Capstone Hospitality is an FGCU alum.
20 seconds.
And I think Capstone's located in Jacksonville because their phone number is a 904 area code.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour." Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts and a pick or two coming up in about 20 minutes. Before we bring up our next topic, which we talked about during the break, which is a lot more prep than we normally have, let me throw this out at you because you're on the fence about whether or not the Warriors are a dynasty. Let me go Lakers from the 80s, and I'll count this year for the Warriors. So this is a 9-year run where they made 6 finals, won 4 titles. If I just go the first 9 years of the 80s for the Lakers, they made 7 finals, won 5. So it compares. The Lakers were better. Although we could argue the Western Conference that the Warriors played in was actually tougher than the Western Conference that the Lakers played in, but that's for another day. But I'm just saying, in a 9-year run, Magic, Kareem, and the boys, 80 through 88, 7 finals, 5 wins.
One time they got bounced in the first round, right?
Yes, in 81, and then in 86, they lost in the conference finals to the Rockets. Okay. So 9 years, 8 conference finals, 7 NBA finals, 5 rings. Warriors, 9-year run starting in 2015.
And by the way, those 2 years that they didn't make the playoffs, in 2020, Steph Curry played 6 games.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It
all counts.
Jordan and Pippen missed the entire year. Dennis Rodman is now your guy.
No,
but it didn't happen.
But Felipe, when we talk about the Bulls, we say 6 out of 8 years. They made 6 finals. They won all 6. We count the 2 seasons that Jordan missed almost all the games. They count in the dynasty.
I'm just saying the Warriors fans pretend that year never existed.
Well, but Felipe, I'm sorry. It did. So 9 years for the Lakers, 8 conference finals, 7 NBA finals, 5 rings. 9 years for the Warriors, 6 conference finals, 6 NBA finals, 4 rings. I think it hits the dynasty threshold. I do. Lakers dynasty better. Bulls dynasty certainly better. But so just little food for thought there. You know, comparing one generation to, a lot of people hold that generation as, it was superior and what have you. The Warriors numbers are pretty close to the great Lakers numbers of the 80s. Now, the Lakers then also made the finals again in 89. I mean, their dynasty was actually 12 years, 9 finals, 5 wins. That's a whole other story.
Just the food that you're giving me, David, is that vegan cheese. I'm not eating it, okay?
Okay. Wow. You're a tough one. You're tough when it comes to
one has to be.
All right.
We want to. This is the thing. We just want to award this was the greatest ever. And this is where I would love to be around 30 years from now. I hope I still am, but the odds are against it. Where I could sit down with then a middle-aged Felipe after he has seen a lot more and see if his perspectives have changed. Because You come in every morning with, that was the greatest game I've ever seen. Oh my God. And it's awesome. But you haven't seen a lot yet. That's all.
I mean, I know what I've seen from the Warriors. That lineup of Curry, Clay, Durant, and Draymond, and then you throw in Iguodala. I mean,
yeah, that was a great team.
That's one of the greatest basketball teams ever.
Right.
Right.
And did they do enough? I think so. I'm actually with Felipe on this one. They would make the list for me. Now, I think they're only the third greatest dynasty of the last 40 years at best.
Are you taking Shaq and Kobe over these Warriors?
No.
Because is that a dynasty? I mean, they three-peated.
They did. Right. And they had a 5-year run where they went to 4 finals and won 3. Okay. But anyway, that's all. Just on the dynasty talk.
But we have to finish up a little U.S. Open talk that I didn't see, that I missed this. First off, let me ask you a question, David. You played a lot of golf, and you are, not a mama's boy, but you are a mom's son. You're much closer with your mom than you were with your father, obviously.
Right.
Would your mom make a good caddy?
No. No. I'll tell you what, though. She'd make a great pep talk at the turn because she'd give it to me straight. But no. First off, we both talk too much. That it would be a problem round right there. 2 people, neither one would shut up.
Because this Frankie Cappan qualified for the Open yesterday. Played golf at FGCU, by the way. Minnesota kid. Qualified at the Old Chatham Club in Durham. One of the 5 qualifiers yesterday. His mom was on the bag.
For 36?
For 36. She pushed it. They allowed her to, which, by the way, they also allowed him to use the guns, the range guns, which that needs to change on tour tomorrow, for the record.
First off, my mother would never, I don't know if she'd walk 2 holes. I mean, if there was a cart, okay, my mom might do it.
I'm looking, there's not a chance that my mom would walk 36.
But I'm talking about even when you're 22, like Frankie is, and, mom's in her mid to late 40s.
No, I got you. Mom would want a cart.
Totally. Right.
She might come out and watch the whole thing if she had a cart. But mom on the bag for 36 and he qualifies for the Open. That's fantastic.
So I'm looking this up when you told me about Frankie, the former FGCU golfer who transferred into the program 2 years ago from Alabama. So he qualified for the Korn Ferry Tour last fall. He went through all 3 rounds of qualifying. She was on the bag for all of the qualifying. And apparently he shredded qualifying. Apparently it was 4 rounds of qualifying. He finished like first 3 times and third once. I mean, apparently he just shredded Korn Ferry qualifying. Mom was on the bag every time.
For another day. Because now Q School just sends you to Korn Ferry.
Right.
Those results would have put him on the PGA Tour a generation ago.
Totally. By the way, so you only break out mom for the big events? I mean, what are you doing week in, week out on the Korn Ferry Tour? I mean, Korn Ferry qualifying? Mom. U.S. Open qualifying? Mom. Is mom caddying for him on the Korn Ferry? Because, I mean, what are you doing? Benching your regular caddy for U.S.? Listen, buddy, Tom, I love you. You're doing a great job. We've got all these top 20 finishes on the Korn Ferry Tour. Yeah, I'm trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. I got to bring in the ringer.
Now, what the pictures I saw was mom pushing the cart. So I don't know. Do they allow push carts out there? And
I don't think so. But did they allow it to qualify for the Korn Ferry Tour?
I don't know. I'm just seeing the Open. I see her literally pushing, not carrying. Would your mom make a good caddy? I don't think mine would. Mine,
No. She'd give it to me straight, though. She'd make a good coach. She would. Caddy? No. Coach? Yes.
I mean, yeah, because they're life coaches to begin with.
Well, also because my mom would never... See, my mom always has to be the boss. there would be no, technically I'm the boss because I'm the golfer and mom's the caddy, so therefore I get to bark at the caddy.
Give me the damn 8-iron wouldn't work?
No, my mother would look right at me and say, who do you think you're talking to? Mom, listen, I got to get up and down here and what have you. She'd be, I don't care. Don't you ever talk to me that way. Ever. You got that? Get your 8-iron yourself.
Matter of fact, carry your own damn clubs. I'm done with you.
Don't
you? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when What's on Tap and Mom's Caddy, and all still to come. Miller and Moulton.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, David, on today was the day when Namath had to resign from the NFL after Rozelle said he must sell his stake in a bar today in 69. When I do that, you got this, because I don't recall the story.
Oh boy, the name of the bar.
I don't need that. I just, but I mean, I can either skip it or do it and let you go there. I just didn't know if you had anything more to add.
Bachelors 3.
He obviously sold it.
Yes, a month later, he ended his retirement and reported back to the Jets.
Have you seen the NHL? Have you seen the reporter yet at the stiff arm the guy?
Mm-mm.
Oops. Gets the whole report done.
Good for her.
Yep.
There's a lot went on today. A lot went on today.
Yes. David, we had the World League of American Football World Bowl II today in 1992.
Frankfurt?
The Sacramento Surge beat the Orlando Thunder.
What the hell? Bachelors 3, because the 3 owners were all bachelors. Namath, a teammate, and somebody else.
Thanks, JB. Bought this at a Kmart probably 15, 20 years ago. Still a great t-shirt.
Is that one of those shirts that would be available at the Sports 70 site? Or
Yes, it would be. I still have to buy my Carver High one.
Felipe, have you seen The White Shadow yet?
No. All right, I'll check it out.
First off, you'll love the hair and the fashion. They're both atrocious.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till the top of the hour, 16 until we're out of here." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us tomorrow. We'll look ahead to Game 3, NBA Finals tomorrow as well. A lot going on today, Mark. Not today, but on today. You know what I mean.
I do. Now I feel a lot of pressure for this segment. Let's see if I can do it right.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Big day for Harry today, by the way, testifying in London. Okay, I'm done.
We start in London, 1844. The YMCA founded today.
Were the village people there?
Neither were Harry and Meghan. 1944, you may have heard of it, D-Day. 156,000 strong Allied forces land in Normandy during World War II.
No big deal or anything. It only saved Western civilization as we know it. It's not like we owe them anything at all. Just everything.
1946. You and I are both MASH fans. I did not know this little factoid. Harry Morgan is the first to take his shirt off on TV.
And of all people, it's Harry Morgan?
Right. Colonel Potter. How about that?
Wow.
Right. Today in 62, the Beatles meet George Martin, their producer, for the first time and record one song with Pete Best on drums, then they'd get rid of him. 65, the Stones release Satisfaction. 66, the NFL and AFL announced their merger. Wonder how it would work out for them.
Took a while. It took a while. It plans for a merger. It took about 4 years.
Today in 68, Senator Kennedy died from his wounds after he was shot the previous night.
He died at 4:44 a.m.
Today in 69, Joe Namath resigns from the NFL after Pete Rozelle said he must sell his stake in a bar that he owned.
Bachelors 3, Mark. Remember, this is 5 months even, after he led the Jets to the win in Super Bowl III. I mean, he's on top of the sports world. He, a teammate, and another guy opened up a bar. It was like the first singles bar in New York City. And they were going to franchise this thing. And the place was packed. But apparently, some mobsters and a few other people hung out at it. Rozelle got wind of it and basically said, listen, read that 6th paragraph of your contract. I can kick you out of the league for owning an establishment like this. So Namath quits. He retires. Training camp opens up in early July. He ain't at it. Mid-July, Namath and Rozelle work out a compromise. The compromise was you sell your interest in the bar, you get to play in the league.
Today in 71, the final broadcast of the Ed Sullivan Show, of all things, was a repeat from the February 7th show. Also in 71, John and Yoko joined Frank Zappa on stage at the Fillmore East in New York City.
A lot of drugs being done that night.
Just not by Zappa. Never touched the stuff, believe it or not. He was weird enough on his own.
Boy, was he ever.
76, the Celtics beat the Suns in 6. Today in 78, 2020 premieres on ABC. 82, Mats Wilander wins his first career Grand Slam, winning the French. 83, Octopussy, the 13th Bond films premieres. I just wanted to be able to say that on the air. I don't know if you can put any other, I don't know if you can say that with try, quad, bi, but Octo works.
Well, Letterman was able to put big in front of it.
Right.
Remember the character from The
Sopranos.
Right. And he was able to say that on network television. They did not bleep it out. Of course, it was during a monologue at about 11:45 p.m., but
speaking of late night television, it was today in 91 that NBC announces Leno will succeed Carson as the host on The Tonight Show.
And like a few days later, Letterman's on Carson. And he gets a rousing ovation. And Carson waits for the applause to die down and looks at Letterman and says, "So how pissed are you?"
Today in 92, Eddie Murray records his 1,510th run batted in, passing Mickey Mantle as the all-time RBI leader among switch hitters. Today in 98, Sex and the City premieres on HBO.
Oh, big news, Mark. Apparently, Kim Cattrall, who hates the other three, but they've got this remake that's on, I don't know what channel it's on, HBO, Max, I don't know. So apparently, at the end of season 2 here, she staged a cameo. And her rules were none of the three, and apparently some guy on set who's apparently the leak. She said, "I'll film this cameo. You don't tell anybody I'm doing it. And the 3 women and this guy, nowhere to be found." And they kept it a secret, and the other 4 were nowhere to be found on set. She did the cameo.
Speaking of hold a grudge. Wow.
I love her even more.
Exactly. 2002, The Bourne Identity premiered. 2007, Anaheim beats Ottawa in 5 for the Stanley Cup. That was ratings gold. Anaheim and Ottawa.
537 people watched.
Rafi wins his 5th French today in 2010. Today in 2011, Garrett Cole was the first pick of the Major League Baseball draft. That one worked out okay.
Yeah, he did all right.
This one's for Felipe. Today in 2018, LeBron eclipses Michael's record for most 30-point games in the NBA playoffs 109 times. Nathan Hale, Thomas Mann, Bobby Mitchell, all born today. Sprinter Tommy Smith, Bjorn Borg, Colin Quinn, Stevie Vai, Cam Neely, Paul Giamatti, Alindo Mari, Anson Carter, D-Hop, and Kenny Pickett, all celebrating birthdays today.
Can I take a guess on how old Borg is?
Sure.
67?
Boom! Or for Mike Breen. What'd I miss, David?
Not much. You're all over it, man. Although it was 10 years ago today that this guy, we didn't know his name for another 3 days. Edward Snowden used the Washington Post and the Guardian across the pond to disclose that the U.S. has been spying on its people for a long time. Now, I have to admit, with all the movies that we've watched, the fact that we found that a shock. But, I mean, he had the documents and everything. And here we are 10 years later, and people are debating whether or not he's, you know, a traitor or heroic. Depends on what camp you're in.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We'll go across the pond, where Joyce Jackman was a former chef in the UK's Royal Air Force, celebrated her 102nd birthday on May 9th, and shared her advice for living for over a century. She credits, and I quote, good sex and good sherry. I'm a big fan of Joyce.
I was going to say, in that order, or, you know?
In that order. She also revealed her third secret for longevity. It must be all the chocolate I eat that's helped.
Wow.
For the bad, we go to Collier County, where Dalton Philibom was arrested. He was with a group of motorcyclists, and he decided he was going to take off when deputies tried to pull them over the weekend. Reaching speeds of 110 miles an hour, running a light with a patrol car behind, he finally was pulled over as they brought the helicopter out to catch this guy. The best part of it is, on the front of his motorcycle, the bumper sticker reads, capable of evading high-speed pursuit. Not so much, because you were captured. Finally, the ugly. We go to Miami, where a robbery suspect caught on surveillance video wearing a cardboard box over his head while stealing phones from a store briefly removed the box from his head so that the cameras could point out who he was. He took $8,000 in phones. He was found in the same plaza drinking with buddies at a nearby liquor store later that day. No joke. He put a box over his head and obviously couldn't see out of the box, so had to lift it up.
Right.
To steal the stuff. That's a special kind of stupid, and that is our winner in today's Good, Bad, and Ugly on June the 6th, 2023.
Okay. We have no NBA, no NHL, no college baseball, no college softball. We have no golf of any kind. LPGA, PGA, Korn Ferry, NCAA, zip, zilch, nada. You know what we have? 15 Major League Baseball games. That's it. Only one of them nationally televised. It's on TBS. The Mets in Atlanta against the Braves. Braves are minus 170. They're throwing an undefeated pitcher out on the hill whose ERA is sub-2. Mets are throwing Carlos Carrasco, whose last two starts have been good, but before that he threw BP, literally. He can't hold runners on. The Braves are going to have about 7 steals tonight. I'd bet Atlanta hard. Rays are home for the Twins. Battle of first place teams. Of course, one of them would be 11 games ahead of the other in the standings. And now the Marlins hosting the Royals.
Looking to make it 5 in a row.
Both those games begin at 6:40.
I love it.
Chance to be
You know what
over.
a Florida baseball fan I am with these 6:40 start times? It's absolutely spectacular.
I'm loving it.
I discovered yesterday that my daughter is a Rays fan.
Really?
I've been watching the Rays a lot this year. And she just plopped down after spending some time on her tablet. She came down and just plopped down on the couch and looked, and she said, the Rays are winning. Yes, they are. Watched a little bit more. No tablet. Just sitting there on the couch watching the game, talking to me about players. Has a favorite player. Rosarena's her favorite player. She said, who's the guy that does this? And crossed her arms. She goes, I like him.
Hold on a second. The 9-year-old is talking Rays players?
Rays players.
Wow. You know what you got to do? Have her vote for the All-Star game. You can vote online, can't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, have her vote. Be one of those fans that just click only guys on their team.
That's perfectly fine.
That's how the Reds put 8 starters in the All-Star game one year.
Last day of school day. We got a lot of summer together, she and I.
Oh, this is it?
This is it. School's out for summer. I'll have Alice Cooper rocking in the car when I pick her up today.
There you go. Windows down. Okay, looking at the parents like, listen, I behaved all year. Tough. This is what you get.
The problem is if I did that, none of the parents would even know what the song is.
Seriously?
Probably not. They're all young. They didn't listen to rock and roll. Certainly not classic rock. If they did, it was their parents.
Well, I think you should do it because then you'll be the cool guy in line. Might have all those parents going, wow, what's he playing? That sounds cool.
I'd ask how the song goes, but I don't think we need to go there.
This hurts.
Keep forks away from me right now.
I know. This hurts.
I'd be on the attack. Don't you dare start bashing Alice Cooper this late in the show.
Well, I'm not bashing.
Yeah.
I don't want you to start singing now because,
Have you heard me sing on this show?
No.
There's a reason for that. There's a reason why you shouldn't sing either.
Yeah, okay. Here we go.
You like to sing. You're not that good at it. I'll let Moulton sing. I think David can sing.
I have to admit, Felipe, it's a good thing you're unaware of this song because this is a song that you would sing. It's a happy, peppy, energetic thing. Alice Cooper, School's Out for Summer. Look it up before Mark picks up his 9-year-old.
I know this one.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and